Yo. So, physical time is where it is typically associated with our universe, as it is said to have the following three features. Okay, oh yeah, we're talking about the difference between physical time and metaphysical time. Physical time began to exist. When creation began, space time came into existence. This means that it has not always existed because it has a definite starting point. Physical time began when the universe began. Um, to physical time can be measured. It can be measured of a localized clock. 1 second. Okay. The way physical time is measured in a particular world depends on the laws of nature that are intrinsic to that world. For instance, and on Earth, we measure time based on our local intrinsic clock. That clock is based on the duration of the Earth's rotation around the sun. This constant revolution serves as a local clock for those of us on Earth. A planet on the other side of the universe would not measure time by our local clock because it does not revolve around our sun. That planet would measure time according to its own local clock. Yet, these clocks can be synchronized because the universe has its own cosmic time as determined by the universe's background space, or the frame of reference of the universe at rest with respect to the cosmic background radiation. The laws of nature are not localized, but are held to be consistent across the universe, making it possible to have cosmic time. 3. I've already got someone requesting. Hello.
All right, I'm ready to LARP with you. Okay.
What are you talking about? Oh, dude, you're not. Why are you harassing me?
Why you're asking me?
Yeah, I asked you not to talk to me.
But I try to talk to you all the time.
I blocked you.
Oh, I have a flat affect, and I always talk to you, even though you tell me not to talk to you.
Why do people do this to me? I don't understand.
All right, do you want me to LARP a precept to show you how that's done?
I don't know. I guess you think it's okay to harass people, so go ahead and harass me.
Why would I harass you? You're already a
Well,
precept.
so when you ask someone asks you, I don't want to interact with you, I don't want to talk to you, and then you continue to like try to talk to them. That's called harassment.
Well, why would I take that seriously when you say that? But
Okay,
then
well,
all the
that's weird.
time, right? All the time that we're in the same VC, you interrupt a conversation I'm having to address me directly and argue with me. Why would I take you seriously? If you
Uh,
don't want me to quote unquote harass you, then never address me again.
I mean, why can't you just like respect what I ask of you?
Well, I would respect it if you respect it. If you respect the idea that you actually don't want to talk to me, then
Where
I'll respect it as well.
I don't.
You talk to me all the time. You interrupt my conversations to argue with me,
No,
right? Yeah.
no,
At least on Discord, not so much here.
no,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
This is just lies. See, he just lies. This is what this guy does, and he's a gibberator. So I don't know. He like he's got this Dunning Kruger crap going on, and he thinks he knows more than he does, and he wants to sit here and give a community college lecture. It's like really boring. He's really
I know exactly how much I know. I'm very aware of how little I know in certain topics.
see how arrogant he is. What do you got?
um, I don't know. It sounds like before we talked about this, you conceded that a world with a necessary thing that's not God is possible. Um, so if this necessary thing is possible and it's not God, and it has the disposition or the capacity to cause this universe, I'm just wondering why you think God is necessary.
Because you need revelation. Okay, so have you ever seen the movie The Matrix?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Neo has science and philosophy, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But does Neo know he's in the Matrix?
No, he's stuck.
Yeah. So science and philosophy doesn't do shit for Neo to prove that he's in the Matrix. So he has no intelligibility of the world, right? 'Cause he
Right.
thinks he looks at like anything in his world, he thinks there's like it's a physical external world, but it's actually just like a computer program, right?
So presumably, revelation isn't just a philosophy. It's not just a worldview. It's something different than just a way that you think the world is, or some kind of like inference.
So you're with me, right? You're Neo in the Matrix, and you can't, with your science and philosophy, know that you're in the Matrix, right? We agree.
Yeah, you're a brain about sure.
Okay, so what you need is a red pill, and the red pill is God's revelation. With
Okay,
that
nice analogy, man.
knowledge, we are red pilled out of the Matrix and into the real world.
Gotcha. No, I understand what you're trying to say here. So, what is this revelation? How does it work? How does it uh, bypass the filter of your mind such that you can
Because it's
know things
knowledge
objectively?
directly from ultimate reality itself.
Gotcha. So, is this like a form of like acquaintance foundationalism, where you have this acquaintance with
It's revelatory
truth?
epistemology.
Well, look, what is this? How do you have this knowledge? How are you acquainted with it?
God and takes the initiative to reveal knowledge to us. He can do that by like speaking directly to us, or we see like his invisible qualities are obvious in like the conceptual order, the causal order, the natural order, beauty evaluations, moral evaluations.
Well, look, that's a nice story and it's coherent. I'm just asking you how you know it's true, right?
Because it's
Look,
the
how?
only
In other
story that
words,
can make sense of our experience. No other story can make sense of our experience.
well, of course it can. Well, let me say this, and I'll give you a story that
Of
can do that.
course it
Okay.
can. Revelation is necessary. So that leaves us with Islam, Christianity, and Judaism.
Look,
And
look.
from there, we'd have to have a theological discussion as to
I know, like what you're trying to do here, but look, you want to say
whether
that
they're in the
revelation
environment of
gives you,
revelation or not, right?
yeah, you want to say that revelation, right? Which you really haven't given like a conceptual analysis of what it is, other than God tells you things. I
According
tried
to
to like
you, right?
I
Thanks
tried
for
to like probe and ask you how you have an acquaintance with revelation.
well, thanks for coming.
Sounds like
Thanks
okay.
for
All
coming.
right, run away, run
Well,
away.
what are you talking? What are you just bullshitting? So
I'm not bullshitting. I'm trying to have a philosophical
no, you're
discussion
not.
with you.
No, you're not. You're bullshitting. I just explained
You're just
what's
saying,
the
well, revelation does. Okay, why can't a naturalist just say nature does it?
because
That's the depth you're giving me.
why can't Neo know he's in the Matrix?
Well, because he doesn't have nature. He didn't accept nature.
Neo has science and philosophy, but he doesn't know he's in the Matrix, does he?
Yeah, but he didn't accept nature, so he's stuck in the BIV.
So do you think that response gets you out of the Matrix?
No, my point is that yours doesn't either. You have to give a further
Okay.
explanation.
According to what? Why doesn't my response solve solipsism?
Well, I'll tell you because this revelation thing just seems to be your external justification, just your worldview. You're saying if it's the case that God wants me to know things, then I know things. Well, who cares? How do you know this information or these qualitative states in your head, this
Are
acquaintance
you
feeling
telling
in
me
your head?
that? Are you telling me God can't like give me knowledge?
Well, no, I'm saying he can. But the point
Okay,
here
God.
is
So
that,
then, if God can give me knowledge, then wouldn't that knowledge be justified because it comes from God?
yes, but you're missing the point here.
Okay, what is the point?
The point here is that what you're saying is that God is necessary because you have this acquaintive knowledge, right, or this revelation with Him, right? But you haven't given me any reason to believe that you couldn't be mistaken. Whatever it is that you're acquainted with, whether it's an emotion or something that seems to be obvious, right? There's no reason why you couldn't
That's
be
not
wrong.
true though, because I told you there's like a dichotomy, right? Where we're in an environment of revelation or not. And if you,
Uh,
we can do just like an internal critique on or not, and show that it ends up in the matrix. And if we accept we're in an environment of revelation, then we don't have the problem of solipsism, because we start our starting point in our system. We have a God that can serve as a single unifying principle with causal powers that puts our mind in contact with the objects of knowledge at the starting point. So we don't have that problem that you do.
So I don't think you understand skeptical scenarios. Now, it's trivial just to say, well,
Stop.
look,
Stop. I
okay, man,
understand skeptical scenarios.
I don't think you
You
do.
don't understand the metaphysical landscape. It's you who do not understand tag. Okay? Are we
I
clear?
mean, you could just crash out, or you could let me talk. It's up to you.
You can talk, but you can't bullshit. Okay? If you say bullshit, you can't do that.
Okay,
You can't lie to me.
look, just tell me how it's different. What you're doing is different than any other person with a non-God worldview. You understand that there's this skeptical problem with our minds, right? You're
Yeah.
trying to break out of that skeptical problem. And the way you're
Right.
doing it is saying, well, look, if there's a God that implants knowledge into my head, then I can know things. Fine, perfectly good, right? But the problem here is that you
You're saying
can't know for certain that that worldview obtains. Now,
sure we
if you want to
can.
say, well,
It's a
if you want to say,
transcendental
well,
necessity. We can prove it with a transcendental argument.
okay, but you can't show it's necessary,
Yes,
especially given
you
that an
can.
atheist, right, can
Of
give a
course
just so
you can.
story.
If it's a transcendental necessity, if because humans understand the world through a story or a narrative, and the story or narrative in the Bible is the only story that can give like metaphysical like context and meaning to anything we talk about or do.
Now, I would agree with you if you could support that claim, sure.
It's
But here, I
easy
could just.
because metaphysics, science and philosophy can't tell us anything about metaphysics.
What do you think you're
Philosophers,
doing when you
stop,
theorize about the
stop,
world?
stop,
You're
stop. I'm
doing
teaching you.
philosophy.
I'm teaching
No, you're
you
not.
philosophy. I'm teaching you philosophy. So philosophers just assume metaphysics and speculate and hypothesize and say this is possible, that's possible, because there's no way to know the correct metaphysics, right? The only way we can know the correct metaphysics is if ultimate reality is a personal God that created everything.
Okay,
And
that's better.
revealed to
Okay,
us.
now you're onto something. That's an inference. So why is it that you need a personal God to have knowledge?
Because I'm telling you, metaphysics is the world as it actually is. Modern philosophy and science are what's called phenomenalistic, which means they deal with our perceptions of the world. They don't. Philosophy and academia ignores metaphysics, which is why you're struggling so
Okay,
hard to wrap your
it's an
puny.
entire
Stop!
subdiscipline of
Stop!
philosophy.
Stop! Modern academia and
Don't crash
philosophy
out.
ignore. Stop! Modern academia and philosophy ignores metaphysics, which is why your puny little brain can't understand the transcendental argument for God, because you worship academia, right?
Look,
That's your
academia is where
problem. You're
metaphysics
completely
happens.
indoctrinated.
Where do you think they talk about metaphysics, man? It's in academia.
No,
So
you
look,
don't know what
why
you're
is it that
talking.
you need? Why is it
Stop.
that you need?
Stop.
Calm down,
You
man.
don't know. Stop. I'm trying to educate you. You don't know what you're talking about. So modern academia and like philosophy ignores worldview considerations. They ignore metaphysics. Okay. Philosophers just assume. They're like, grant me my metaphysics and then I'll give you my epistemology and shit like that. So
That's not true. They talk about skepticism. They
okay,
talk
well
about
you're a liar.
worldview.
You don't know what you're talking about, and you're so
Why are you
arrogant.
running
You
away,
keep
man?
away from me. I don't want to talk to you. Stop harassing me. Leave me
Okay, then
alone.
stop talking.
You're the one that comes to me. I don't seek you out, dude. Go do your own live and talk about your nonsense. Go gibberate on your own live, dude. Guy doesn't know what he's talking about. What's up, Dorian? I'm like so sick of his craps. That's why I just cut. I'm like real no patience with that guy because he's been harassing me for years, and he's totally like Dunning Kruger. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He tries to like. He's really like manipulative. I mean, liar. So this is what they do. And he won't. I mean, like, how? Think about the mentality of someone. Like, I asked him, like, don't. I asked Mr. Blitz, right? I said that guy's another weirdo, and I'm like, dude, just don't even come here, because like you give them an argument and they go, oh, what's the argument? It's like, I gave you the argument. They're like, no, you didn't. It's like, dude, you're being weird. You're a weirdo. What's wrong with you? Just leave me alone. You know? And this guy does the same crap. Like, I think it's really strange to me, from my perspective, when I'm providing an argument, and then they just go like, oh, you're not making you're being a weirdo. And like, I just I don't want to talk to someone who's like so like deceptive and like lies to me. Like, and then they, this guy, he's like, oh well, he asked me not to talk. He doesn't want me to talk to him, but I'll just keep like trying to talk to him all the time. Like, think about the mentality. Like, if someone asks me like, hey, look, I don't want to talk to you, I'll be like, okay, and then I leave them alone. I don't like create alt accounts. I blocked that guy's main account. He comes in on another account to talk to me. You see me like making other accounts. Like when people block me, I'm like, oh, I make another account to go talk to them. That's weird. It's really like a immature. It's just immature. They have maturity issues. These non Christians are not very serious people. That you'll notice that. I'm a crybaby. Okay. Welcome.
Hello.
Hello.
So I don't come from like an atheist viewpoint. I consider myself a Christian, but I had a question for you, if that's okay.
Sure.
What are your thoughts on homosexuality, and what advice
I
would you
can't
give to
talk about
somebody
that
who
on
is one?
TikTok. We can't talk about that on TikTok. But I don't have any issue with it. Like,
Okay.
between them and God. So, if you want to do that, that's
Okay.
on you.
Well, then, in general, what would your advice be to sinners if they want to find redemption?
Everyone's a sinner. I don't know. We just have to. You have a relationship with Christ. You seek God. Learn not to love the world and love God, and repent. And then this Holy Spirit hopefully will like guide you, and you'll receive God's grace.
Makes sense. Do you think that chicken sandwiches will go to heaven?
Um, that's a good question. I don't know, because we're saved by the grace of God, so it's an unmerited reward. So it's hard to. There's a bit of mystery to who goes to heaven, who doesn't. So
So, like, maybe I'll ascend from the fires and go to heaven someday?
um, maybe I don't know. Are you flame broiled?
No, man, I'm,
You deep fried?
yeah, I'm fried in peanut oil, man.
Oh man, sounds like you've already been to hell.
Yeah, dude, it's bad. There's
Yeah.
there's a lot of there's a lot of people who try to eat me,
Maybe,
man, and I don't know what to do anymore.
maybe you could warn all the non-believers watching about what it's like to be deep fried, because that's what they're gonna
It's
experience.
it's a very scary existence to be in, you know.
Mm.
You should never wish that for yourself or someone else. You know, you should try to find redemption so that someday you can get out of those flame broiled fires. You
Yeah,
know, like the deep fryers they're scary, man. I don't like being surrounded by hot oil. I'm not a fan of it.
I feel you.
And as a chicken sandwich, I feel like it's my job to advocate for my fellow chicken sandwiches.
Well, I think you're delicious. So
You know what? I appreciate that,
yeah.
man.
I
I
want. I hope
appreciate
you're in
that.
heaven so I can eat you.
I hope I'm in heaven too, man. You deserve to enjoy me.
All right, man. Is that all you got?
Yeah, man. That's all I got, dude.
All
Don't
right.
eat at Chick-fil-A, man. Please. This is the third time this week I've been eaten by somebody. I don't want it again.
All right, man. Well, I wish you well. Thanks for coming. Uh, uh, atheism. There you go. Chicken sandwich. He identifies as a chicken sandwich, I think. Well, if someone wants to be a chicken sandwich, who am I to tell them they can't be a chicken sandwich, right? We have to respect. If people tell you they're a chicken sandwich, you have to respect their will, their free will that they're a chicken sandwich, right? Like, notice how the guest before did not respect my when I asked him, stop trying to request up and come to my lives. I blocked him and he makes another account. He doesn't respect my free will. When that guy had identified as the chicken sandwich, I respected him, and I didn't try to tell him he's not a chicken sandwich or something. See, I got worldly virtuous. See, the physical time of one world cannot relate well to other worlds and their physical time. Oh, my cat's like harassing me. I need to pray for my cat to stop harassing me. I asked my cat to stop harassing me, but I understand like the cat isn't going to listen to me because it's a cat. But you'd think like the atheists would listen to me because they're a human. You'd think. But it's almost like they're behaving like my cat because they just don't listen to anything. Anyways, for instance, think of C.S. Lewis's classic The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. The children in this story leave London and enter into another world called Narnia through a magical wardrobe. Oh, like the atheist world. They reside in Narnia for many years, but when they return to London, only a few minutes have passed in London. This is because the local clock in Narnia is not based on the same clock that we use on Earth. There is no way for our measurement of Earth time to apply to Narnian time because both worlds have separate physical clocks based on the laws of nature that are intrinsic to each world. The imaginary world of Narnia may serve to illustrate an idea that is quite popular in physics today, the multiverse. It is quite popular today to posit a multiverse that generates an infinite number of distinct universes, each with its own discrete time series. And that right there, have you ever heard an atheist say, the claims of the Bible, they're too miraculous. I can't believe a man walked on water. I can't believe that. That's wild, man. But then they'll believe a multiverse that generates an infinite number of distinct universes, each with its own discrete time series. They'll believe that. Oh, yeah, that's science. The science said that, so that's plausible. But walking on water, I don't know. Multiverse. Yeah, sure, multiverse. Walk on water. Oh, you can't do that. Well, couldn't we walk on water in one of the multiverses? I mean, what is with these people? When they go, well, I can't believe these claims. A donkey talked? Well, couldn't there be a multiverse where a donkey talks? I mean, I don't understand, like, how can you believe in a multiverse and then go, oh, but I can't believe in this miracle claim in the Bible? Liars, disingenuous, cognitive dissonance. That's what we have. Ladies and gentlemen, on the multiverse hypothesis, a universe is a spatio-temporal continuum. Each universe is said to be spatially and temporally unrelated to each other. If there are multiple universes, each with its own intrinsic natural laws distinct from our own, it will not be possible for us to use our metrics to measure the time in those worlds, or so the story typically goes. There is a further point to be made from this. This feature is also said to apply to worlds that lack physical objects and laws of nature as well. We cannot use our metrics based on our laws of nature to measure the life of angels, for instance. Nor would we be able to use them to measure the souls that reside in the intermediate state awaiting resurrection, the abode of the shades. Okay, so there we have a distinction between physical time that we can measure, which physics can study, and then there's metaphysical time, that which physics can't study, which is like I was trying to explain to Jeff. We have metaphysics, the world as it is, and then we have philosophy and science, which are phenomenalistic, and they deal with our perception of the world, not as the world actually is, because any good philosopher should know basic that are because we perceive something to be a certain way doesn't mean that it actually is that way in an external physical world. It does not follow that you perceive something that it is actual. Okay, so we need, that's the argument, we need God's revelation to know what is actual. It's impossible to know the world as it actually is with sense data and human reasoning. We need knowledge from God. It's unavoidable. Oh, it's not necessary because I could just imagine it. I could just imagine my feelings are real. Have you ever? Or what if I just lie to you? What if I just lied? Then atheism could be true. Oh, metaphysical time, okay? Metaphysical time is often associated with God's eternal, everlasting nature, in contrast to physical time. Metaphysical time never came into existence. God resides in eternity. Eternity, for the divine temporalist, means that God has no beginning and no end. God's eternal now is fleeting, and that God has moments that slough off into the non-existent past, and God has not yet existing future moments. The difference between our now and God's eternal now is that God never came into existence. The now of physical time had a beginning, and it need not exist, whereas God necessarily exists. Another difference that divine temporalists typically draw out is that, unlike physical time, metaphysical time cannot be measured because it lacks an intrinsic metric. Typically, it is said to be amorphous. There is no constant metric by which one could neatly divide up the duration of moments. Prior to the creation of the world, God exists without beginning and end in an unmetricated time. One might say this looks like a timeless existence, since God's life lacks a beginning, end, and succession. However, this is false, because in order to be timeless, God must necessarily exist without succession and have no before or after. A timeless God of necessity cannot create moments in God's life of any sort. A temporal God contingently exists without succession, for God can create moments in a variety of ways, many of which need not be creating physical objects. The claim often made is that in this unmetricated state prior to the act of creation, there is no way to measure God's metaphysical time, or what Dean Zimmerman calls dead time. According to Zimmerman, in order to measure a temporal series, one will need temporal intervals consisting of non-denumerable set of durationless instants. Further, one will need to have a set of coordinates that will have the same betweenness relations or same length. Without an intrinsic metric, this will be an arbitrary convention. The problem is that any such conventional metric could be devised to measure God's life, and there's no way in principle to say which one is wrong, because every instant of dead time is intrinsically alike and is the same number of instants away from each other. That was a word salad, Ryan Mullins. What are you trying to do here? You're trying to use words. He's just using words and making claims and assertions. I'm gonna use ChatGPT. That one was hard for my puny brain to understand. Okay, so explain this to me like I'm a layman, which I actually am. don't have to pretend I'm a layman. I'm the real deal layman. Hey Mateo, Potato, I saw you guys making fun of me and mod abusing me. That was cool. But I mean, what do you expect when your position has no evidence? Okay, so before God created, and then these people want to ruin the chat for some reason. Didn't I mute him? I didn't delete his message. This is what they do. Before God created the universe, time might have existed in a non-measured form, which some call dead time. This concept suggests that without creation, there's no way to measure moments or duration in God's existence. To measure time, you need specific points or instants and a consistent way to space them out. But in dead time, there are no clear markers or differences between moments, so any method to measure it would feel arbitrary and you couldn't argue which way is correct. That's kind of like the Chisholm problem or something. Time existed in a non-measured form, which they call dead time. There's no way to measure moments, durations of God's existence. Okay. Oh, that should be obvious, I guess. Yet, this is an epistemological problem. One might counter by saying just because we cannot know which conventional metric to apply to God's metaphysical time prior to the act of creation does not mean that there is no right answer. Verificationist considerations like these simply will not do. The rejoinder from Zimmerman is to contend that without laws of nature, nothing could ground counterfactuals concerning what various kinds of clocks would or would not do throughout a given interval of pseudo-time. In other words, there simply isn't any way to measure metaphysical time since it necessarily lacks an intrinsic metric. Yet Zimmerman's move is too quick. Just because metaphysical time lacks an intrinsic metric does not necessarily entail that it is unmeasurable since we can come up with conventional metrics. Of course, the above considerations are in regards to God's life prior to the act of creation. In the act of creation, God freely creates a world with intrinsic laws of nature that serve as a metric for the physical time of that world. In the act of creation, God takes on succession in God's life. Neil MacDonald refers to this as God getting God's self into our time. God freely takes on succession in God's life so that God will be related to the creatures that God has made. This statement is a bit misleading since, as we will see below, metaphysical time contains physical time. It would be more accurate to say that God brings creation into God's time than to say that God gets God's self into our time. Another common claim among some divine temporalists is that any metric in the physical world would fail to apply to metaphysical time. It would make no sense to try to use physical time to measure God's eternal time. Physical time has beginning, and metaphysical time does not. Where would one start their measurement of God's time? As Sir Isaac Newton once said, metaphysical time exists regardless of the sensible and external measurements we try to make of it. It is the case that the cosmic present marks a boundary for God because God cannot exist at our universe's past or future since our universe's past and future do not exist. Further, God's eternal now and our temporal now stand in a one-to-one correspondence. However, several divine temporalists claim that this does not entail that our temporal metrics apply to God. As Garrett DeWeis says, or DeWeis, as it is possible that there might be or there might not be an intrinsic metric to metaphysical time, it is possible that no quantitative temporal relations hold for God. What this means is that although moments of temporal world can be placed in a one-to-one correspondent with more moments of metaphysical time, one could give no sense to the statement that a certain duration of metaphysical time lasted a certain number of seconds, days, years, and so on. DeWeis's claim might strike one as rather odd. DeWeis gives us no argument for thinking his claim might be true, nor does he explicate what he means by this statement. Other divine temporalists agree that it would certainly be the case that one could not use the metrics of physical time to measure the life of God prior to the act of creation, but argue that it is possible to do so subsequent to creation, especially since God's metaphysical time stands in a one-to-one correspondence with our temporal world. It is the contention of William Lane Craig that cosmic time sets the boundaries for God's time as God relates to our world. Craig argues that since cosmic time is in a one-to-one correspondence with God's metaphysical time, we can measure the life of God subsequent to creation. If certain divine temporalists wish to continue making claims like DeWeis, it must be articulated why it is the case that the metric of this world does not apply to God as God continually sustains this world. One possible avenue to take could come from the multiverse. If there are other universes with their own unique time series, God will be temporally related to those worlds as well, as Keith Ward explains. Here, I'll bring it up. I'll just read this quick. God will stand at every leading edge of every process, moving with it toward its own open future. God will not be confined to a particular time, but will move forward with many non-temporally related times. He will enter into all processive times and will, thus, not be reducible to one linear temporal series into which they are put. I'm going to have to ChatGPT that one.
Hey man, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Nice.
So I take it you're a Christian, right?
Yeah, I'm a Christian.
I'm an atheist.
Oh no! Why would you be an atheist?
Many reasons. I've grown up Christian my entire life. If you want to ask me any questions, go ahead. I have a few questions for you as well.
Well, I don't know. I kind of argue that like atheism, like I don't think you can rationally deny God, and I think it's kind of like an emotional.
So, what makes your God different from the other 2,000 out there that are strongly believed in current society?
Well, I mean, obviously the Christian God has different attributes than the other gods. So.
Not really. Honestly, they're all identical.
No, like the Christian God has like the doctrine of the Trinity. There's no other God with the doctrine of the
There's
Trinity.
also doctrines of every other idol and stuff like that throughout history.
Right, but I just pointed out an example of an attribute that the other gods don't have, so that would be an answer.
I'm pointing an attribute out towards most of the religions out there that are backed by a numerous amount of people.
Right. So do you think you can rationally deny God?
Yes.
Okay, so what would be the rationale? Yeah.
If God knows everything, he knows what will happen and what has happened, why do you allow Satan to exist? He created Satan.
Satan just means adversary.
Not according to the Bible.
Yeah, Satan is a title.
Satan is not a title, he is a individual.
No.
Yes, he is. It is stated in the Bible multiple different times.
In the Old Testament, Satan is a person.
Yes, exactly. He is a person. He's a spirit. He is a soul.
He's not a person.
He's a soul.
It just means adversary.
So he created an army to fight, but God knowingly created Satan himself.
God created things that rebelled against God. Yeah, what's the big deal?
Exactly. So God created something when he needed nothing.
So what?
So he created all pain and suffering.
So what?
What do you mean, so what? That's a
So
very in-depth conversation that we should be having right now. He created pain and suffering. God created pain and
well,
suffering for what reason?
from a Christian perspective, suffering isn't like that bad.
It is very
Yeah.
bad. It's
He
beyond. It's beyond bad.
because we rebelled against God. Initially, there was no suffering in the Garden of Eden, right?
Supposedly, all of what we're talking about is hypothetically
No, this is the actual. So,
what the
in
Bible said, but
actual,
I don't believe the Bible, so I can't use
well,
that as a
you
reference.
actually you do believe the Bible. You just don't. You're
I
just
don't.
well, you're just suppressing the truth and unrighteousness. But
I
anyway,
don't believe in the Bible. I've studied it for 16 years
well,
of my life.
yeah, I'll believe it when I see it. I don't see any evidence of that. So
Go ahead and
anyway,
ask me some questions and disprove myself. You should ask questions. I'm going to ask questions as well.
okay. So, anyways, God created the world. It was good. There's no death and suffering. We rebelled because of our rebellion. Because what happens when you rebel against God? You turn to love the world. You love creation instead of the creator. And so, to teach us like not to love the world and to love God, He temporarily, through the process of redemption, allows for the good, the bad, and the ugly to occur. The bad things happen, we learn not to love the world, and we turn to God and love God. And this allows most people to freely choose to have a relationship with God and receive eternal life in paradise, where He will fix everything, and there will be no death and suffering, perfected bodies, and heaven and new earth, and it's be glorious. And you should join me in paradise.
I can understand that 100%. I wish it was true.
It has to be true.
I wish it was because I would
No
believe
other
it if
way.
I could. I would believe it if I could. Trust me
You
on that.
wouldn't. You. Bible.
Convince me otherwise. I am
Bible
open,
says that no one seeks God, and that you suppress the truth and unrighteousness, and that God's obvious.
but
Because
as I stated before, I don't believe in the Bible,
well,
so we
then you're
can't
like,
use that. We can't use that as a reference. If you want to talk about actual issues, and I will discuss that with you. I am
yeah,
100% a
but
reasonable person.
guess what happens when you don't believe in the Bible? Now you're in the Matrix. Have you seen the movie The Matrix?
What, like Tron? Like, is that what you mean?
Neo, Morpheus, Trinity,
No,
Cypher.
I understand, but we're not going to compare a movie towards actual real
The
life
movie is
issues.
about actual philosophy, sir.
Oh, I understand that 100%.
Okay, so Neo has science and philosophy in the Matrix world, right? There's scientists in the Matrix, right?
Yeah.
But they can't use their science to figure out they're in the Matrix.
Yeah, because it's a movie.
Yeah. No, that's real life.
It's a movie.
About a real life philosophy.
So let's talk about this.
No,
No?
we're
Okay.
dealing with what I'm focused on what I'm presenting to you.
I was going to elaborate on this
Oh, okay. Go
conversation.
ahead.
Are you just aggressive or what?
No, I'm just tired of
You
weaselly non-Christians that don't want Jesus to be true.
you act like I am being rude and neglectful. I
Because so
am
many of your
engaging in this conversation with you.
okay, okay, so go ahead.
I don't even know where my train of thought was at this
We're
point
talking
because
about the Matrix. You're in the Matrix. You have science in the Matrix, but the science and philosophy don't do anything for Neo because he's still in the he's still in the Matrix, and his whole life is like a lie, but he doesn't know it. You're in that
I
situation.
I don't understand what this has to do with the
That's
conversation we were
your
having.
situation. That's
That is,
reality.
man, I
You have
think,
science and you have philosophy, but you don't know what the world actually is.
man, I feel like you are not hearing me.
Okay.
I have another question for you.
Okay, just ignoring what I'm trying to argue. Okay, go ahead.
Because I don't understand what you're asking me. Go ahead and elaborate what you're asking me.
I'm explaining your situation. You're in the Matrix. You're Neo, right? If you
So are
deny
you.
that, no, I'm not in the Matrix. I'm in the real world because I took the red pill, which is revelation. So I'm offering you a choice, right? There's like a blue pill. You can go back to sleep, and tomorrow you wake up in your atheist fantasy world. Or you can take the Bible, which is the red pill. If you accept God's revelation and that you're in an environment of God revealing himself, now the world becomes real. We escape the Matrix.
So do you believe that Muslim people believe their religion as much as you do?
It doesn't matter like what they believe. So if you
Do you
accept
think
so
that
you've got, are
you're
you a Muslim
dodging the
now?
question? You're dodging the question. I'm using it as a reference.
So you're a Muslim now?
No,
Defending Islam? Well,
you
why
are
don't you defend atheism?
dodging the annihilation or analogy, I would say. Sorry, I misspoken. You are dodging the analogy. Do you believe that you believe in God as much as people believe in the Muslim religion?
Sure.
So, what makes your religion different from them, and why is your feeling so much more powerful than theirs? Why is it that Muslim
Christianity.
people are just not accounted for when Christianity is all you've known your entire life?
I just like to point out real quick for the audience while I answer your question, but I just like to point out that atheism is so like ridiculous that they always have
We're
to
not talking about atheism.
right. I know, but you can't. I'm just pointing out you can't defend atheism, so you have to use Islam to attack Christianity because
Let's
that's how
expand our brains a
that's
little
how
bit.
lack of evidence there is for atheism that you can't just
I'm
prove
using it as a
atheism.
reference.
I know. I'm just pointing out that you can't just defend atheism. You have to use Islam to attack Christianity because
You don't
atheists are so
understand the
weak.
question. You
Because
might be the most
I'm going to
ignorant
answer your
person I've
question, but I
ever
just would
fucking
like to
talked
point
to.
out for this, just relax. For the sake of the audience, look how weak atheism is that he has to go to Islam to defend his position. Okay, now I'll answer your question. So once we prove that we're in an environment of revelation, that God has clearly, obvious, plainly revealed himself unambiguously, that everyone knows God, then it would become into like we have Islam, Judaism, and Christianity. Those are the religions where we have revelation, and we would just get into a theological debate from that point, where I could show like how Islam is wrong based on like theology.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, elaborate.
Yeah, so Allah is a liar, and there you go. If your God's a liar, that destroys truth at a foundational level.
Justified. I agree with you.
That's a self-defeating worldview.
I agree with you. I was using it as a reference, though. You didn't understand my question. If
No,
I could,
you were running to Islam because you're a coward.
do you want me? Do you want me to restate my question?
You're a coward.
I do not believe in Islam.
I know. That's why you're coward for talking about trying to argue something you don't believe in. That's a coward move. You're a coward.
I know there's 30 people listening to this right now, and I hope you know how stupid you sound.
Okay.
But if you
Well,
want
I'm
me
not
to
the one arguing
elaborate,
for something I don't believe in. I'm arguing.
if you
for what I
want me
believe
to
in. You're
elaborate
the one
on my
arguing for something you don't
question,
even believe is true. So
may
go
I
ahead.
elaborate on my question?
Yeah, go ahead.
What I was saying is, if you know 100% that God is your God, what makes your perspective different from the person who is Muslim, think that their God is God? Don't disregard as soon as I say Muslim. We can use any other religion, who is Mormon, who is Pentecostal. You are so ignorant, dude. Holy shit. Why the fuck do you have followers? Bye.
Bye. Bye bye. I wish you would. Welcome.
I was trying to ask you down in the chat at the bottom, if you know the Elliot argument. Have you heard that?
Yeah, it doesn't work because you need God's revelation to know anything about God. So you can't prove God with like logic and observations.
So you don't think that logic is a necessary component to God? Because if you can sit here and say that logic isn't a necessary component to God, then you could also believe that God can do illogical things.
Well, God, logic would be a reflection of the mind of God. So logic would be grounded in God.
Correct. So it is a property of God.
Yeah.
Okay. So So we know that at least that's one of the places. Um, so that and if you were to say that the Elliot argument is flawed in the sense of the logic is part of God's necessary components.
You can't know God through logic. That's the flaw. Well, we can't reason to God. Reason doesn't prove God.
No, so the Elliot argument disproves atheism, and
Yeah,
because
I know the argument doesn't work because we can't reason to God.
yeah,
Like, how would you use logic? You would need an absolute identity statement to use logic in the first. God is necessary for logic.
well,
Um,
all right. Here's
but
how I
that's
could use
but we
logic.
wouldn't. We can only know God what God reveals of Himself. We can't like philosophy. They can't tell us anything about like the metaphysics. They just tell us like what we perceive of the world. It doesn't. We can't reason our way to what the world actually is.
Okay, before the universe existed, was logic still did it still exist?
Yeah, and in God,
Right. So, sure, it can't give you any like specific claims about God. Um,
we can't prove God exists. We can't reason our way to existence. We reason from existence.
uh,
We
I,
never prove things
I guess
exist.
I understand your point. Like it's not giving us a like logic itself is not giving us a evidentiary value to prove God's existence, but it does the contrary in that it disproves any of atheism's options for the origin of the universe.
Um, yeah, but we couldn't say that like logic is grounded in God if we didn't know anything about God. And so we wouldn't be able to use logic without revelation. So we need revelation to prove God. There's no avoiding this. So the Elian argument is just can't work unless revelation is part of your evidence for God. You don't have evidence of God.
Hmm. Um, can you use this revelation to like convince me? I believe in God. Obviously, I believe the Elliot argument, makes logical sense to me. But can you present some sort of revelation as to why uh, uh, the Christian God is necessary, or
Yeah, because
give
we're
it to me,
either
make me a believer?
so it's like a true dichotomy. A true dichotomy encompasses all possibilities where we just say like A or not A. So we're either in an environment of revelation, God's revelation, or not. And if you say or not, we can do an internal critique and show how that leads to you get stuck in the matrix basically. And if you're in the matrix, then you couldn't say anything is true because you don't know whether like you don't know what reality is because truth is that which corresponds to reality, but nothing's corresponding to reality if you're in the matrix because you like Neo, he thinks that like there's a physical world. So when he's talking to people in the matrix, he's talking like he lives in a physical world, but that's not true. That's not corresponding to reality because everything's a computer simulation. And so we need God's revelation as sort of like a red pill to get us to the real world where our sentences can correspond to reality. In a godless world without revelation, nothing, no words can correspond to reality. There'd be no reference. So there'd be no metaphysical content, I guess, or context. And so like basically we can only have evidence for anything with like the Bible, the claims of the Bible as a foundation for a system of truth or like a theory of factness. Facts require a philosophy of factness. and that's the one in the Bible is the only like coherent one. There's no other coherent like theory of factness.
And I was very much a Christian until I started like doing some reading, like really about this, or getting some, I guess, ideas and concepts from uh, from outside. And like, do you think the this omnipresent, omnipotent God, the Christian God, required the sacrifice of his son to save us from our sins? Or do you think like an omnipotent God would be able to do, provide salvation without that?
Well, if there's so the idea is like if we commit a crime and in society you have to, they say like you have to pay your debt to society when you commit a crime, then you owe a debt to the world because of like you commit this crime. And it's
Mhm.
like the same thing when we commit a crime against God, then you owe a debt to God. So we have to pay the debt. If God doesn't make us pay the debt, then he's not just,
Mhm.
right? So what Jesus' sacrifice on the cross is like brilliant, like because it resolves the contradiction between God being just. Because if he lets us not pay the debt, then he's not just. Yet he's merciful because he pays the debt with his own son. So the debt is paid. God's just, but God's also merciful because he sacrificed his own son to pay our debt, which shows and proves, demonstrates that God loves us. He wants the best for us. And we're just going through this period, temporal judgment of process of redemption due to our rebellion against God. And we have hope, and it's not in vain, because we can see that God puts his love in our hearts, and we see the unconditional love in Christians in the world.
Don't you think that's like not really fair? Like, if someone commit a crime against, I don't know if you have kids, but say somebody commit a crime against your child, or they hit your child with a car, right? You wouldn't you want that guy to pay for the crime and not me? Like he gets to go home and
What?
not have to go to jail, but I'm gonna take the payment. I'm gonna take the uh punishment for the crime for him.
I'm
When
not.
you feel that's not like fair, that's not just.
It's a mercy. So God's just, but he's also merciful. So mercy is when you like if you owed me a debt and you're like, oh, I can't pay this debt, right? I got a family, I got all these bills. My cat had surgery. I can't pay this debt, and I go, okay, I have mercy on you, and I forgive you your debt. That God has shown us mercy and sort of forgiven our debt, and so now should forgive other people. Because if God can forgive us, you know what a piece of crap we are. I know what a piece of crap I am. I don't know if you want to admit it or not. I'll admit it. I'm
Mhm.
a horrible person. I'm a sinner. I'm corrupt. And God, I didn't deserve it. God's nicer to me than I deserve. And he had mercy on me and he forgave me. And now I forgive other people who wrong me. And then it's a good way to live your life. So I don't know what the problem is. Like,
I suppose I see where your point and position is there. That regardless, God is showing mercy upon that, even though they are like sinners much worse than us. He's showing mercy to them and us all in one. Um,
but
well,
we always
I,
make mistakes. We want to be forgiven. So that's what's great about Christianity is like, because I know, like, for me and personally in my life, like, I've had relationships that when I became a Christian and I forgave people, it healed those relationships. So there's a real power. It's a real tangible thing.
no, and like I said, I've been Christian my whole life until this last year or so when I started really thinking about these things. But
Well,
anyway, I'll hop out of here. I
right,
appreciate you
man.
having me up
Right.
and
You
the
too.
dialogue.
I wish you well, man. Yeah, it's good to think about things, but I think if you keep thinking about it, I think you'll end up as Christian again. So, good luck on your journey, man.
All right. Thanks, man.
Yeah, you're welcome. God gave us reason, right? So we should use our God.
Hello. So my thought patterns is you say that the Muslim God lies, and therefore he's not a real God.
Well, the Muslims say that.
Okay. Well, the Muslims say his God lies, and therefore he's not a real God.
That would just
The Christian God also lies.
No, the Christian God not lie.
The Christian God wrote the Bible, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right there, he's lying.
No, the Bible's necessary.
So, no, because that's true, because he comes to a burning bush to talk to Moses, and Moses writes, not God, Moses writes on stone, because God commands Moses to write this on stone. And then if you read the Bible, every single book in the Bible is this, like, say, Peter, because I'm pretty sure there's a book on Peter. Peter writes this portion of the Bible because God told him to. So humans are the ones that actually wrote the Bible. God just told them to, and told them what to say.
Yeah, use them like an avatar. They're inspired.
Right. So, but they're the ones that physically wrote it. Now, humans are not perfect, right?
But God is perfect.
Right, but humans are not perfect, right?
Right.
Right. So if humans wrote the Bible, physically, like the physical aspect of writing the Bible, because God told them what to say,
right?
How can you prove that, without just saying because God's perfect, how can you prove that there was no human error in what God stated to what was written down? Because there is something called human error because there's no perfect human.
Wow, that's a really good, deep question. Wow, I've never thought about that. Well, where did this argument come from? Did this argument come from?
Where does it come from?
Yeah, does this argument come from a human?
Yeah, so this argument could have, obviously I'm human, it's coming from me. Every single argument comes from a human.
Oh, right. And so then humans are fallible, so that means every single argument is probably not true because it comes from humans. This is your logic?
So since every single argument is not true, then everything you're doing on here right now is not true, and God's not true.
So nothing's true now. So that's
now God's not even true.
So this is the entailment of your position now. Nothing is true.
No, it's not.
Now what do we do?
Not.
Because no, this is what you're arguing.
The entailment because
this is the entailment of what you're arguing. This is your logic.
But it's not.
This is just your logic, sir.
No, it's not. My logic is
this is
my logic is it's not though. Not everything is wrong because everyone's not.
So nothing's true. Now what do we do?
You stop being a Christian and become an atheist, even though I'm not an atheist. But you become an atheist because nothing is true.
But if nothing's true, then atheism isn't true. So why would it be an atheist when nothing's true?
Oh yeah, then just stop having a religion. Yeah, if you want to state it in that portion that nothing is true, just stop having a religion.
How can you live your life if nothing's true? Who lives their life like that?
Neo does for most of his life. He's 40 when he leaves the Matrix. There you go. But no.
Here's the problem. I want to be in the real world. I don't want my life to be a fantasy. I don't want my life to be like I'm a character in Harry Potter. Why do you want?
But that's the thing.
Your life is like you're a character in a book. Why do you want that?
Oh, my life. Oh, no. My life will I make it.
Exactly, it's a fantasy. So don't you want to live in the real world? Why do you want your life to be a fantasy?
Oh, I do live in the real world.
Oh, really? Well, but you said that nothing's true because truth comes from.
Actually, no. You said nothing is true.
Well, that was your
I was
logic.
making
You said the
it. No,
Bible's
that
not
was
true.
your logic. You never let me
Bible-
finish because you kept saying nothing is true. My logic is there are errors, but that doesn't mean everyone doesn't make right things. There are a lot of things humans do right. Not every single thing in the world is false because a human did it.
Well, that was your argument.
There is the chance.
Sir,
No, there is the
are you-
chance. No.
are you this-
You asked me a question. Let me finish it, please.
You're not
Before
focused.
you finish, you asked me a question. Let me finish it, please.
But you're not focused.
So, I am focused.
No, you're not.
So the question you were saying, why do I live, in a sense, why do I live life when everything is false? Because that's my argument.
No, your
Everything is
argument
not
was-
false.
Your argument was humans wrote the Bible, therefore the Bible is false. That was your argument.
Yes,
Yes.
but
So humans come up with
Everything-
arguments, therefore your argument is false. It's self-defeating. That means everything.
but it's not, and I can explain that to you. How it's not.
No, listen.
I can
This is
though.
the-
If you'd
this
let me
is your
speak,
logic.
if you would let me speak instead of running your mouth and just interrupting me
just
all the time,
saying
you
nonsense.
would.
But you're saying nonsense.
But it's not.
It is.
You are because you're not letting me
You.
speak.
Because when you speak, you go, "Duh, humans said Bible, therefore Bible not true." And then I show
I
you.
sound like you. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sound stupid like you.
The human wrote the Bible, though it's not true. That's what you said.
Yeah, just as stupid as you sound. Deity from the heavens came down and wrote the Bible. See, sounds just like you.
Okay, so explain yourself.
Okay, you gonna shut up and let me now?
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, in the aspect, and I didn't say that the Bible is definitely wrong because humans wrote it. I said, can you prove to me that the Bible is all right with the aspect of human error? First off, and second off.
Do you think you can?
Oh,
have
wait,
proof?
I'm not done. You said you'd shut your mouth and let me speak.
Okay, well, talk
So
to
wait.
your mic. I can't even hear you.
Okay, so you said my original aspect then. Now I'm talking to my mic. I'm not
You
making
can't-
loud noises at work.
Can't be heard.
You can completely hear me. You've been able to hear me this whole entire time, so now you can hear me. You're just trying to make it seem like you don't. Because if you could hear me perfectly fine a moment ago, you can hear me perfectly fine now. Because I have changed nothing as of at this moment.
Getting muffled from time.
So, if my argument wasn't that every single thing humans do is wrong. My argument was, can you prove to me that the Bible is real, even though there's human error? Now, with that,
That's a
humans
loaded
do
question.
stuff right sometimes. Not every single thing a human does has complete error. That's why we
Yeah.
change stuff, we fix stuff, we redo it.
All right, I
constantly.
got
That's why
you.
there's a Mach
Yeah.
1, Mach 2, Mach 3. Because as not a perfect being, we can fix stuff throughout time. Maybe multiple humans doing it.
Okay, so
Now,
that's a loaded question, right? So your question implies you're sneaking into your question that proof can exist independent of the claims of the Bible. How did you determine that proof can exist independent of the claims of the Bible?
I never said proof can exist
You
independent
asked
of the
me,
Bible.
can I prove the Bible? That implies proof can exist independently of the Bible. How did you determine that?
Because proof is existing.
Okay, that's a stupid thing to say.
So wait. Hold on. Wait. So saying because God exists isn't stupid, but saying because proof exists is stupid.
You smuggled in your atheism to your question. Where
I'm
you?
not atheist.
Okay. What are you?
I'm a pagan.
Oh, well, that's an atheist.
No, it's not. An atheist is someone that does not believe in a higher power. A pagan believes in a higher power.
Do you accept the creator is completely different than creation?
Yes.
Really? Who's the creator?
Which one?
Okay. Thank you for coming.
Well, there's different. Hold on, no. In the pagan pantheons, there are multiple different pantheons in belief of, in a sense, different creators and creations.
Right.
So, to answer that question, I'd have to ask you which one.
Well,
You have your creator. You have.
I'm kind of looking to talk to like rational people, so.
You're the only one here that is not rational.
Well,
you won't let anyone speak. You won't let anyone speak.
Gods, dude. You think you're rational?
Yes.
Pagan gods.
So what's the difference between believing in a Christian god rather than pagan gods?
Well, we can prove the Christian god. The pagan gods are like fantasy.
Oh, actually, it states in the Bible that the pagan gods are there.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming.
It does. It says, don't worship any other god but me.
Sure it does. Yep.
So it does. It physically does. Word verbatim.
You're right.
So that right there proves that there is other gods.
Oh, yeah, totally. Thanks for coming. I wish you
well. You're an idiot.
Okay, true. Oofta. You betcha, don't you know? Unique. Welcome.
Hey, how's it going? I'm gonna try and start this one fucking since I'll admit I get hot-headed in the comments.
Right.
All right. So I want to start off by asking your definition of atheism.
I don't really care how it's defined. Doesn't matter. I don't have my definition. If you want to talk about the philosophy of religion, there's a definition. Theism, according to the philosophy of religion, theism is going to be the proposition that God exists, and atheism is going to be the proposition that like God does not exist. And then like an agnostic would be something that's neutral. What?
That's where we differ, because that's not the proper definition of either of those terms.
Well, then you disagree with the philosophy of religion. So I don't care how you define atheism. It doesn't matter.
All right, well,
it's irrelevant. Definitions are not that important. But because you're ilk, people like you can't prove things. You can't make arguments. You guys want to talk about definitions all day because you bunch of babies. Stop talking. I'm talking. Stop talking. Stop talking. Stop talking. Stop talking, baby. Stop talking, you little baby. Stop talking. I'm talking. Let me talk, you little baby. It's my life.
You are going to
let me talk, you little baby. Stop talking, you little baby. Stop. Act like an adult. Grow up. You're not mature. You're not being mature. All right. Well, I have to kick you off because you're just ridiculous. Look at. So. Because atheists or non-Christians or whatever, like agnostics, whatever they want to define themselves as, they have no freaking evidence. They have no argument. They're not serious people. They want to play definition freaking games and argue semantics. If you just had evidence, you wouldn't have to sit here and talk about the definition of atheism. It's totally pathetic, embarrassing. I would be totally ashamed of like myself and an atheist. Like it's just... Their behavior disgusts me. So there you go. Oh, do you want to come back up now? So you can define atheism however you want. I'll invite him back up. You can define atheism however you want, but you're just playing a definition semantic game, you're a little baby. And it doesn't matter because no matter how you define it, you're going to have to defend your godless worldview. You little chump. My lie. How do you ground intelligibility in a godless worldview, bro? I invited him back up. I did. I literally had to kick. You're such a child. I literally had to kick you to even talk. Like real mature, man. I should have asked his age because he's acting like a 12-year-old. But he sounded like he's gone through puberty. Really weird, huh? How come these atheists, it's like they sound like they've gone through puberty, yet by their behavior, you would never guess that. Isn't that funny? Oh, God, these people are so annoying. Ugh. There's a spider crawling on my TV. Okay, so before God created the universe, time might have existed in a non-measured form, which some call dead time. This concept suggests that without creation, there's no way to measure moments of durations in God's existence. We're talking about metaphysical time versus physical time. To measure time, you need specific points or instances and consistent way to space them out. But in dead time, there are no clear markers or differences between moments, so any method to measure it would feel arbitrary, and you couldn't argue which way is correct. Wait, did I get the whole thing in there? Wait. No, that was, I didn't even think I got to doing this. My cat's bullying me too. Cat, I get enough crap from atheists on the internet. Do you have to bully me too? Just like everyone in my life is harassing me. All the time. Life is suffering. I'm gonna not believe in God. My feelings are hurt. God's mean. So we're going over another person requesting. Let me read this real quick. I'm trying to study this paper while proving God. This idea described God as being present in all moments of time and not limited to a single linear timeline like humans experience. Instead of being bound to one track of time, God moves with every process and is present at every leading edge of events as they unfold. God's experience of time isn't confined to one sequence, but spans multiple independent timelines. Essentially, thanks for the heart. Why'd you send me a heart if you didn't you get mad at me? Essentially, God is involved in the ongoing progression of all things, adapting to each moment's open possibilities. God is involved in the ongoing progression of all things, adapting to each moment's open possibilities. I'm not really sure what he's saying here. What's up, man?
I sent the heart as a form of somewhat of apology because I did get heated, but I don't hate you.
Yeah,
and I don't want to put words in your mouth. I know you didn't say you hated me or anything. But
that's fine.
I just want to get over my definition.
Sure. You got a phone call or something? I can't.
Yeah. I dropped for a second there. All right. I just want to get over that because I feel if we understand our if we understand where we're coming from, we may bridge a gap that we may not be crossing. Otherwise, we're arguing at each other and not with each other, essentially.
Uh-huh.
That's why I feel the definition is important.
Yeah.
As an atheist, I'm just someone who does not believe in the claim of a god or gods.
Okay.
I'm not saying they don't exist, but I'm not saying they do.
Okay.
All right? Yeah. So now, I don't know which God you believe. I'm assuming the Christian God.
Yes, the Christian God.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm agnostic. Yeah. So you want to talk about agnosticism? That's just a knowledge claim. Agnostic and Gnostic just means you know, or you don't know something.
You're claiming to be neutral on God's existence.
There is only one answer. There's only two possible answers. My bad. For the question, do you believe in a God? That is yes or no. I do not know falls into the no category. You do not claim a positive.
Right.
Or
now you have to defend a model of reality without a God, which is impossible.
It's not impossible.
Oh, really? So how did you determine that anything exists with independent God?
Are you asking about the question of hard solipsism?
You can't rationally deny God. There's no way you can prove atheism.
I can. Atheism does not need a proof. Atheism is just the lack of belief in something.
No, you're purporting.
All right, prove I do not believe in Santa Claus. I can't prove that to you other than you asking me, do you believe in Santa Claus, and me telling you no. So there, I just proved I don't believe in Santa Claus. Do I believe in your God? No. There, I just proved my atheism.
Not understanding so before we come to the bit.
You're not understanding, but okay, sorry.
Before we even come to the debate, we both have like background beliefs that affect how we view the world. It's like a bias, right? I have a Christian bias. I'm open and look, I'm a Christian. I'm biased. I believe in the Bible. I take the Bible as truth. That's my bias, right? You have whatever non-Christian bias, right? So you either assume that we're in an environment where God reveals himself, which is what I assume, right? I believe we're in a world where God reveals himself before I come to the debate. Before you come debate me, you don't believe that, right? You think you're in a world where you don't know there's a God. God's not obvious to you. I'm saying God's obvious to everyone. You don't think God's obvious to everyone, right? So I'm defending.
Yeah, it's obvious by the fact that God is not obvious to me. You think God is obvious to everyone, as you just stated, but that's obviously wrong because God is not obvious to me.
Okay, so now you have to defend that, though, because I'm defending the position.
What do you mean defend it? I just told you God is not obvious to me.
Yeah, you have to defend that.
Defend it how? You think you know my mind better than I do?
That's your position. I'm saying you couldn't rationally say God's not obvious. It's impossible to rationally have that position. But I could rationally defend God as obvious. So that's how I prove God.
Let me ask you a couple questions then. Okay. Do you believe God is all-powerful?
Yes.
Do you believe God is all-knowing?
Yes.
Do you believe God is all-loving?
Yes.
All right, so you fall into the pit hole of the problem of evil.
There's no problem of evil.
There is.
Oh.
I'm assuming, considering you said there is no problem of evil, you understand what the problem of evil is.
Yep.
Okay, so if God is all-loving, all-knowing, and all-powerful, does God want evil to exist?
No.
Could God create a universe where evil does not exist?
He did.
He did. So
yeah. You remember the Garden of Eden? There was no evil in the Garden of Eden.
You know what? That's the first time I've heard that argument brought up, and I wouldn't say it's a good one.
Okay. Well, God created a world without evil, and what happened was...
So, let me ask you a question.
Humans rebelled. Hold on. Let me talk. Humans rebelled.
I know the story of the Garden of Eden. I was a Christian.
So God temporally allows a process of redemption where he allows there to be suffering and death in the world, so we learn not to love the world and freely choose God so we can be with him in paradise. And you have that opportunity. Please don't reject it.
All right, now, so God being all-knowing, he knew exactly what would happen in the Garden of Eden, right?
Yeah.
Could God have stopped that in any sort of way? Or at least not stopped, because that interferes with free will, which God doesn't have a problem doing anyways, because, I mean, look at the Pharaoh story. God hardens his heart multiple times.
Well, that's
But
a
anyways,
misinterpretation. That's a misinterpretation.
it's word for word out of the Bible.
That's a straw man. That's not what Bible scholars teach. So that's a straw man.
That is Bart Ehrman.
Please don't
word for word.
Well, I don't care what Bart Ehrman says. That's a straw man.
Bart Ehrman is one of, if not the foremost biblical scholar that you are trying to cite.
Bart Ehrman is a joke. Please. So anyways, Christians don't believe
You are a joke, but okay.
Dude. Okay. So let's go with your theory, okay? So God hardens Pharaoh's heart. So why does God have Moses ask Pharaoh to let his people go? Why doesn't God just cause Pharaoh?
You mean the covenant they entered willingly?
Let me ask. You are such a child. Look,
I just know your story better than you do.
I'm trying to use your dumb interpretation. Let's follow your dumb logic here, okay? Dummy. So God hardens Pharaoh's heart, right? Meaning God causes like Pharaoh to do things. Is what you're saying there. So what would be the point of God having Moses ask Pharaoh to let his people go when God could just cause Pharaoh to change his heart to let his people go? What's the point of Moses? Your dumb interpretation. Hello? What is the point of Moses asking Pharaoh to let his people go if God can just change Pharaoh's heart to let his people go? Hello?
Sorry, I was walking by people.
Did you hear my question?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Sorry, I was listening, but I just didn't want all that background noise to pick up, so
Okay.
I don't know if it did or not. I apologize if it did.
Okay. So how do you deal with that?
So then how do you deal with the question of, if God wanted the Pharaoh to let his people go, why didn't he just make the Pharaoh? Am I getting that correct in simple terms?
You said God hardened Pharaoh's heart, which implied God can like cause people to change their hearts, right?
Well, yes, I was just clarifying the question.
So if that's the case, why does God have Moses go, hey, Pharaoh, let my people go, when God could just cause Pharaoh's heart to let his people go?
Like I said before, in the story, the Jews enter that covenant willingly. They willingly became the slaves of the Egyptians, let alone the fact that... That's a different topic. Never mind. I'm getting off topic.
You're prevaricating. Sorry. Yeah, this is what they do, is they prevaricate.
No.
You just prevaricated.
I cut myself off so I wouldn't get off topic. Okay. Would you like to address the point I just made, that the Jews
I want you to answer my question.
Willingly?
I want you to answer my question.
Why would the Pharaoh... Okay, so why wouldn't your God just go to the Pharaoh and be like, hey, it's been long enough, let my people go?
That's what he did with Moses. He had Moses, was the prophet, and he's like...
Why would he send Moses? Why would he not just go himself? He's all powerful.
God uses people as an avatar. What difference does it make? Answer my freaking question. You're prevaricating. Why are you prevaricating? Are you a child?
I already acknowledged the fact that the Jews were slaves. The Pharaoh didn't know...
You're prevaricating.
...that the Jews were... No, I'm not. I'm answering your question.
You are not. The question is, God can harden Pharaoh's heart. So God doesn't need Moses to ask Pharaoh to let his people go. God can just cause Moses or Pharaoh's heart to change so that Pharaoh will let his people go. He doesn't. There's no need for Moses, according to your dumb interpretation, right?
Yes, there is no need for Moses.
Okay, so then your interpretation can't be correct because it's dumb, right?
Fucking ad hominem, dude.
It's not an ad hominem.
Yes, it is. You're saying it's wrong because it's
okay.
dumb.
If it's not
That is ad
dumb,
hominem.
if it's not dumb, then what's the rationale for God sending Moses to ask Pharaoh a question to do something if Pharaoh doesn't have any free will?
Historically speaking, the Jews weren't even slaves in Egypt.
And he
But-
prevaricates.
Because I don't have an answer for you, because I don't even think
How do you sleep
Moses
at night being this?
existed.
How do you sleep at night when you're so sleazy in conversations with people? How do you sleep at night? How do you live? Like, don't you feel like any conscious guilt for this behavior?
I'm trying to figure out what your question is exactly. Like, why the need for Moses? That's a question for me to ask you. Why did he need Moses? Why didn't he just
I'm
do
just
it?
gonna move on. You're just totally useless to talk to. Holy crap. And there we go. This is what they do, folks. Okay. I can't believe like the bullshit that people like, just the constant BS, the never-ending stream of BS. These people are. Oh yeah, he's very unique. That guy was very unique. Oofda. It's not dumb. I mean, God, hardens Pharaoh's heart, so it just makes sense that he would have Moses go there and ask Pharaoh to do something, and then harden his. So he goes, Moses, ask Pharaoh to let my people go, but then when you do, I'm gonna cause Pharaoh to say no to you because I'm just like a puppet master, and that none of this makes any sense, and there's no reason to even read the Bible because I just cause all your decisions. So there's no point of scripture. There's no point of prophecy. Ugh. The Bible clearly teaches that we can make like choices. We have a free will where we can make decisions that alter the future. That's obvious. That's actually something that makes Christians distinct from pagans. Pagans would believe in like destiny and fate. And then sometimes like some Calvinists believe in destiny and fate. So the idea doesn't totally go away in Christianity. But like even the majority of Calvinists are compatibilists, which they believe in free will and determination. I'm a compatibilist, but like I don't see how you can believe in hard determinism and be a Christian. Like it doesn't work.
Oh, okay, there we go. That worked out. Hi.
Hello.
Okay, that's good. TikTok thing out of the way. I'm 27, pronouns he, any. Just call me he. I don't care.
Oh, real quick.
Question to you is my question for you today is you know how like court systems work, how you have to provide like actual tangible evidence for cases, and even science has that. If you'll humor it for a minute, science can say things, but they actually have to have tests, repeatable tests, and data and evidence and like real-time observations to back up whatever the hell they're saying. So right. So what makes you think that mere arguments alone are enough for God's existence when that literally doesn't apply to anything else in our life?
No, we only prove things through arguments.
No, we also run like tests, and we have data, and we make observations, and we put things together like puzzles, and like outcomes happen because of that.
Hey, I got you, but a scientific
I'm getting a little emotional there, bud.
Because you're not letting me talk. I'm sick of these atheists come on here and they go blah 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 preaching, giving their community college lecture, and they don't even know what they're talking about. So, science. What were we talking about? Science.
Well, just to not to cut you off or anything, but like the whole thing is just why are if for your specific case, why are arguments alone enough to be so
yeah.
like, hey, I made a rational argument, therefore God exists, instead of,
Yeah.
hey, here's a real angel, God exists.
Yeah, so like a science experiment can give us like a data point, but it can't tell us like what the data means. We need like arguments and interpretive schemes to interpret like data. And so
Yeah, so we interpret. Okay, sorry.
that data without like an argument is like wouldn't mean anything. So arguments and evidence go like hand in hand. You can't.
Yeah, but like the thing I'm critiquing you on is you only have arguments and you have no data.
No, the evidence is evidence itself.
That doesn't you literally just have arguments. Like,
No,
how I said earlier, like, here's an angel,
That's
therefore
not
God exists. You
true.
don't have an angel.
No. Okay, so we're talking right now, right?
Yeah.
And
I could say evolution is true, which because, and I can come up with some kind of reason,
this is so ridiculous.
some like philosophical reason as to why evolution
man.
is true. That doesn't mean evolution is true. That just means I've found a rational reason to think of why evolution is true. That doesn't make it true.
I'm literally not even listening to what you're saying. So anyway, like we're talking right now. So that's evidence. That's data.
That's just talking. That's just talking.
It's a piece of data.
No, it's not really. It's just an argument. It's just.
I'm gonna hang up on you. You're being uncooperative.
You're being very childish, but all right.
I'm being childish.
Yeah, you're being very childish.
Us having a conversation is data.
I'm happy to conversate too. I'm just correcting you, and you're just getting all mad about it.
You're not correcting me. You're a moron.
I'm not.
If you're gonna sit here and try and correct me, you can take a hike because I'm not
here
to learn
emotional,
from you.
Aren't you? You're getting very childish and emotional right now.
Really? Am I? But I'm the one who has evidence.
You're the one borderline screaming right now. You're raising your voice.
Okay, but you say I'm emotional, but you're believing what you want to be true. You're not believing what the evidence says.
The evidence
who's
says
really
evolution
emotional
stuff is true. The actual evidence says evolution.
Oh, what's your? So how did you determine evidence exists independent of God? How do you know?
We got fossil record studies. We have genetic studies. There's like a bunch of tests that are run on biological animals.
Well, you're an empiricist.
Bacteria.
No empiricism. Are you saying empiricism is true?
Well, there's more stuff too. Like we can actually witness the fact that
you don't even know what you're talking about.
Growing up nowadays are growing up without wisdom teeth. So that's one little.
You have no idea, dude. I'm asking you: are you an empiricist? Are you claiming empiricism is true?
I don't really know what that means, but like.
So you don't even know what evidence is, and you come on here and you want to talk about evidence, and you're totally clueless about.
Bro, you don't even have evidence for God. Shut the hell up.
Okay, what are the two ways we prove things? Do you even know this?
No, enlighten me.
We have rational proof and we have empirical proof, right?
Cool.
Right. So how do you prove something without God? Because I'm arguing that God's necessary for proof. So how did you determine you can prove something without God? You have no idea, do you?
Yeah, we can just fucking test it. And sorry for the cussing. That was a habit.
Or you can.
Yeah, we
can swear. I just would rather you not be a dishonest.
Yeah, TikTok cares about that. Like we're grown adults. I don't really care, but like TikTok cares about that.
You're not allowed to swear on TikTok.
Yeah, you're actually like not allowed to swear. You're not allowed to say certain words. Like you're not allowed to. That's why I stated my age and pronouns, because like you're not allowed to be under 18 and you're not allowed to misgender people.
Okay.
Yeah, but like, how do we prove things without God? Yeah, dude, we just test it and leave God outside of the factoring of the equations. Like you just it's like running an algebra equation. Like, if you'll humor me a little bit, it's like running an algebra equation, except you just leave God out of it.
No. We could not prove anything without God. God's necessary.
Yes, we can't. We've done it so many times.
That's incorrect.
That's not.
Yes. So what you'd either have to be an empiricist or
right. I want to bring up one thing real quick. This doesn't necessarily disprove God. This is just one thing that I've learned in a class that's like semi-relevant. What's his name? I think Louis Pasteur disproved the idea of the old like superstitious idea of how disease comes about. They thought the ancient Greeks thought it was just bad air that just randomly generated And then yeah, Louis Pasteur through other experiments just came out and
All
proved
right,
that
all
like,
right, all
hey,
right,
it's a
all
bunch
right.
of
I
microbes.
got
And
it. I
like,
got it. No one cares about your. So I'm
right.
gonna
So
dumb this.
like
I'm
that's
gonna
one thing we could
stop,
do.
dude.
So,
I'm gonna move on. If you're just gonna not let me talk, okay? I'm gonna have to dumb the argument down so you can understand the argument. Okay. Have you ever seen the movie The Matrix?
no, I'm
You've
vaguely
never
familiar
seen The
with it though.
Matrix?
Never seen The Matrix.
Well, do you understand the concept of like
Yeah, I understand the concept of the Matrix, like living in the like
so like
when people say like you're trapped in the Matrix, you're living in the like I get the concept of that.
okay, so in the movie The Matrix, Neo is in a simulation, right? And Neo has science, right? He has paleontology and fossils. But when Neo says this fossil is like 2 million years old, that's not true, right? Because it's actually just a computer code, and that computer code's not that old.
Yeah,
Right?
but in that movie, it like generates that is a computer code. Like it
Right.
gets
But the
proven later
point
in the movie
is,
that world he's living in is a computer code.
sure, but the point is, Neo can't use science in the Matrix to determine that he's in the Matrix.
But that's because he's determined he's in that, or not determined. No,
So
that's like he's proven in a
science,
simulation from like he's proven it to be in
you
a simulation
understand
that's
this?
enslaved the entire human race. Like
You
that's a
understand,
bit
you
much.
understand that we can't use science. We
How
are
did
just.
those robots enslave the human
Why are you
race? Was it through
ignoring what I'm
science?
presenting to you? Why are you ignoring
How
what I'm
did those robots enslave the human race in
Why are
those
you just
programs? Was it
deal
because
with
of
just
advanced science?
focus. The problem with you non-believers is you can't focus. So we're in the same situation. We have science, we have philosophy, but we don't know if we're in a simulation or not, right?
Well, we
And so
don't know that. Yeah.
the only way we can exit the simulation and get into the real world is to accept that we're in an environment where God is obvious and reveals himself to us.
Well, you're presupposing the whole God thing. Like, that's one God out of thousands. First of all, that's one God out of thousands. How do you know the Christian one is the correct one out of thousands? Then, how do you know there is a correct one out of thousands? How do you know that, like, there is a correct
Why
one?
don't we deal with what I presented, and then we can talk about that, okay? So you're in the Matrix. You can only get out of the Matrix with belief in the Bible. What are you going to do? Are you going to live a fantasy, or are you going to live in the real world?
Well, if those are the conditions of the world, we're just like, yeah, we're literally in the Matrix movie, but the only way out of the Matrix
That is
movie
the
is
truth.
through the Bible, then like, yeah, to get out of the Matrix, you got to believe in the Bible. But like,
That's the situation you're in. That's reality.
no, that's what that. Well, can you prove that? That's your claim. Now you're claiming that that's really the
Yes, I
situation
just
we're in. Can you
did.
prove it?
I just did.
With mere words, with mere
Yes.
arguments. That's it.
Yeah, a lot.
You just have words to show for it. You don't have any data.
I gave you a logical argument and a really
You gave
dumb,
a hypothesis. You gave a logical
and I
hypothesis.
even was charitable because you're ignorant about how to prove things.
You gave a logical hypothesis.
I literally dumbed it down.
You gave
No,
you dumbed it down. It's still a hypothesis. It's still a hypothesis.
It's not a hypothesis. It's a
yes, it
logical.
is because you don't have any tests that
you have
prove
no
any
idea
of
what
your. You don't have. You haven't tested for this, dude.
You're so
You haven't even
clueless.
tested for this. All you've done is just said it.
Okay, well,
I could just say like, hey, dude, there's a purple unicorn sitting in my car. Can you prove me there?
Very unique. You're a very unique person, sir. Very unique. I wish you well, though. It's all love.
Am I audible?
Yeah, you're audible.
All right, awesome. So, is my quality good? Like I'm talking through my headphones.
Yeah.
All right, all right. So,
Yeah.
you made a claim earlier. You said that you can't prove anything without God. I was just wondering if you had an argument for that claim.
Yeah, I just made it. Remember the Matrix argument I just brought up? So Neon, he can't prove anything. Or Neo, so Neo can't prove anything because like Neo is gonna say this fossil is 2 million years old, but he doesn't know that the fossil is actually like, I don't know, 100 years old because he's in the Matrix. And it's not even a physical thing, it's just a computer code. So Neo can't prove anything because there's no what we would call it, this term might go above your head, metaphysical content. So there's nothing actual to anything he talks about.
Why does God have to be the thing that proves that? You have to establish that
Because-
God is the only thing that can be there to prove that.
Because without God,
You're making another claim.
we either live in a world where God's obvious and he reveals himself, or we're in a world where God is not obvious and he doesn't reveal himself. And so we just do like an internal critique on that, right? So that world is the matrix world. Because so metaphysics deals with the world actually is, and science and philosophy deal with how we perceive the world. So our reason and our observations only get perceptual. Like just because you perceive the world a certain way doesn't mean the world actually is that way. To know what the world actually is, we need metaphysics, and to do metaphysics, we need the Christian Bible and the
Yeah,
Christian
but
God.
you just keep making the same claim. Like you haven't
It's a
substantiated the
proof. That's the
claim.
proof. That is the
Oh,
proof.
so you're just presupposing that God is real, and that's how you base your facts?
I'm saying you are in the matrix where you can't know anything is true, and to get into the real world to make truth claims, you have to take the red pill. Where
I don't. I'm sorry, but I don't think you understand what I'm saying.
I do understand what you're saying, but this is going over your head. You don't
No,
understand the metaphysical
no,
nature
I
of the
do
world.
I know what metaphysical. I understand.
Metaphysics is the world as it actually is. You get that?
Sure, metaphysics literally just means above physical reality. That's
No, you don't know what it means. Metaphysics is what is actually in the world, like what the
sure,
world actually is. So you look at the table and you see the apple on the table, but just because you perceive the apples on the table, the world, it might be you're in the matrix. You don't know if you're in
sure.
the matrix, so it might
Does
not
this
actually be an apple on the table. It might just be a computer code.
sure?
It might be a dream, or who knows, or whatever.
The problem that I'm having though is that you keep saying that you can't prove anything without God, and you're giving the example of the Matrix, but that's just an example. Anything
No,
could be
that's
God in that
reality.
example.
That's an analogy to your situation. That's your actual situation. If you deny God's revelation, now you don't know what reality is.
That's
So
a
you couldn't.
claim. That's another
It's
claim you haven't substantiated though. That's the
it's
problem.
substantiated in if you like do any research, right? Like in the book Modern Epistemology, Nicholas Everett will say that we've failed to establish a foundation in science and math for any epistemology, which means we can't. He's saying that we don't know what the world actually is. We're just in this like science, modern science and philosophy is phenomenalistic. They only talk about what we perceive. They don't talk about what the world actually is. So I'm not.
Right, because we can't know what the world is beyond what we perceive.
We can if what the world if like God if what the claims in the Bible are true, then we can know what the world actually is because God reveals it to us.
Yeah, but even God revealing something to you, that's actually very interesting. Even God revealing something to you still has to be filtered through your perception, so you're still going to hit the same wall.
Well, we don't hit the same wall because revelation is a type of knowledge that doesn't come from human reason and it doesn't come from our observation. The knowledge of revelation comes directly from God, and that allows us to know the world actually is. So we do not have the problem that you have. You're wrong.
So, can someone have revelation and be wrong about it?
Revelation cannot be wrong.
Any revelation. So, someone can just claim to have revelation and they're just correct? How do you know
No,
what how do you
no.
know if you have an accurate representation of what revelation is as opposed to a faulty one?
You have to study the Bible to know that. The Bible outlines criteria.
I'm not talking about the Bible. I'm just talking about the idea of revelation. Let's say that someone gets revelation from God. How is it that they would know, and they're very, very sure that they have
You ignored
revelation
my
from
proof.
God?
You're ignoring my proof, but okay.
I'm sorry, but you're not really giving me any proof. You're just
Oh,
making
I'm
baseless
sorry.
claims.
You're just being emotional. And
I'm
rather than
sorry.
deal with I'm presenting evidence to you, and rather than deal with the evidence, you're being emotional, and now you're going on this like rabbit trail. So continue. How do
Right.
I know
So,
the revelation comes from God?
yes, how do you know that the revelation comes from God?
Because the
Because
revelation says it comes from God, and you couldn't rationally deny it. It's necessary for truth.
it's necessary for truth. What does
It's
that mean?
necessary for truth. It means that if you deny God's revelation in the Bible, you are now in the matrix and nothing is true. So your position becomes a contradiction. So
Oh,
to
could you
deny the
derive the
Bible is a contradiction. That's what I'm
could
saying.
you derive the contradiction for me?
Yes, you're affirming the preconditions of intelligibility when you speak, and then you deny the preconditions of intelligibility when you reject God's Bible.
Yeah, but when you have to wait. So when you
Wait.
get revelation from God,
Uh-huh.
are you not presupposing intelligibility right then without having any let's say that God has to reveal
You
intelligibility to
can't be
you.
skeptical about intelligibility. That's the whole point.
Right.
So
So let's say that
to
God
deny the Bible, you would have to deny intelligibility, since the Bible is necessary for intelligibility. So to
that's
deny the
another
Bible,
claim.
would be to assume the Bible's true, which is the absurdity that you're in.
But you're just making a claim that the
But
Bible is necessary.
that's not just a claim, that's an argument that you're ignoring because you're an
No.
emotional person.
That's not an argument. You're just saying that intelligibility because intelligibility. You're just asserting things.
I'm not just asserting thing, I'm making an argument. You're ignoring the argument because you don't believe evidence, you believe you want. So this is a transcendental argument, okay? If I raise doubt about whether the Bible is true, I must grant that intelligibility is true. But if I grant that intelligibility is true, then the Bible is true.
That doesn't
So if I
follow.
raise doubt about whether the Bible is true, I must grant the Bible is true.
That only
That's the
follows if you
logic.
presuppose God. That doesn't
That's
follow.
the logic.
I can deny the Bible is
Then
true
you're in the
without
matrix, but now you're in the matrix.
right. So without intelligibility, how do you?
The matrix is unintelligible.
Right. So God's revelation is completely separate from intelligibility. That's
It's
what
the
you're saying.
necessary precondition for intelligibility. If you deny it, you're in the matrix.
So God's revelation comes before intelligibility. That's
So
what
when
you're
you
telling me.
deny God's revelation, you're proving God's revelation.
Sure, but so does God's revelation come before intelligibility? Because I'm confused on how you could understand revelation
Yes,
without
God's revelation
intelligibility.
is the necessary precondition for intelligibility.
Right, so how can you understand revelation without intelligibility? That doesn't make sense. Do you understand the problem that you're running into?
There's no problem. You're just rejecting evidence.
Right, but the problem with
We can't.
presuppositionalism
The
is that
point,
if you
dude, you're missing it. The point is we cannot be skeptical about intelligibility. Do you get that?
I agree with that 100%.
Okay, so then the question is, what else must be true if intelligibility is true? Because we can't deny intelligibility. And then I just demonstrate, right, or I can show that God's revelation is necessary for intelligibility, because when we reject God's revelation, we're in the matrix.
Is
There you go.
intelligibility necessary for God's revelation? Does it work the other way as well? Because if it does, then you're just saying nothing.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming.
Yeah, you're stumped. You don't know what you're talking about, buddy. Have a good day.
I'm not stumped. I explained.
You are, bro. It's very clear
But
that
I'm not, because I explained it to you. So we start with intelligibility.
You can't start with intelligibility. All right,
We
go ahead.
start with intelligibility. Intelligibility can't be denied. And then we ask the question, what is necessarily true for intelligibility to be true? We're asking what grounds intelligibility, okay? And I'm saying the Christian God grounds intelligibility, okay? Now I'm asking you, what in your godless system or whatever non-Christian system grounds intelligibility? So now you have to defeat my argument, you have to tell me what grounds intelligibility that's not the Christian God. Go ahead.
First of all, that doesn't. I don't have to tell you what's not the
Okay, thank you
Christian
for
God.
coming. I appreciate
Yeah,
you
you're
saying
done.
that. You're very
dude.
unique person. Very unique. People are unbelievable. You're not making an argument. You're not making an argument. But they're just appealing to incredulity. That's pathetic. And they have no shame about it. Unreal. Yeah, I lost that clearly. I made a very clear argument that he just goes, "That's not an argument. I win the debate because I sit here and I go, Dad, that's not an argument. Therefore I win debate. Because you don't make argument. I don't make argument, but you don't make argument. So I win because you need to make argument. I do not need to make argument. I win. I atheist. Atheism. Why do you want to see my face when I'm doing my atheism impression? Hi, I am atheist. I don't need to make argument. Christians make argument. Atheism true, but default. Yeah, atheism. I mean, how do these people sleep at night? Like, I'd be so embarrassed. But they're not embarrassed. It's crazy. Honestly, it's like a fascinating study, the atheist mind. Welcome.
Dude, it's the same guy. Like, what the fuck?
What?
It's the same person, man. I just want to tell you what I think grounds intelligibility. I'm ready.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I don't have an answer for that. I don't know what grounds intelligibility. I don't know the secret to the
It's
universe.
God.
The problem is, if you're gonna let me speak, is that I could posit anything to ground intelligibility, and then we're standing on equal grounds. But I'm being intellectually honest, and I'm telling you, I don't know what grounds intelligibility. But just because I don't know doesn't mean I have to cede the argument and say, oh, it's this random thing that you posit. That doesn't follow.
You're being intellectually dishonest, and here's why. Sure, I can grant you that you could presuppose anything you want. Anyone can presuppose anything they want, sure. But the question is, can you metaphysically tether your presupposition to reality? And only Christians can do that. And that's the issue that you're in.
Only Christians can do that. I don't want to just keep saying.
What I'm saying in philosophical terms, which will go way over your head, is only Christians have a single unifying principle, which is going to be necessary for like science. Like science presupposes a single unifying principle; it just assumes it, and it can't explain it apart from God. So science and philosophy are theistic concepts. We couldn't do these things in a non-God world. You guys make believe that you can.
The problem is that in every sentence you make, you're just presupposing God. So it's
like, every sentence you make, you're presupposing no God.
That's not true.
It is true. Do you reference the necessity of referencing the necessity of God when you make a claim?
I'm not sure, Darth Dawkins.
Okay, well, can I move on to someone who wants to be serious?
You said, do I reference the necessity of referencing the necessity of God when I make a claim?
Yes.
I don't know, because I don't know if God's real or not.
You either do or you don't. I'm not asking about your belief. I'm asking, what do you do? Do you reference the necessity of referencing the necessity of God when you make claims?
No, I don't, because I don't think God's real.
Now you have to defend that position.
Defend the position that God isn't real?
Yes.
Well, do you want me to defend
that's your presupposition. You're presupposing that you don't need to reference the necessity of God.
Well, I don't want to argue on this point forever, but I'm not presupposing anything. But I will say that if you like me,
you're just lying. You talked about being intellectually honest. What a fraud.
Sure.
Hypocrite. Thy name is Koala. Hypocrite. Thy name is Koala.
Right.
Yeah.
If you like,
Hypocrite, thy name is Koala. Do you want to talk to hypocrites?
no, I
Do
don't.
you expect me to talk to you when hypocrite, thy name is Koala?
I'm trying to have a serious
You're being
conversation
a
here.
hypocrite. You said you'd be intellectually honest, and now you're not being intellectually honest. You're saying, I presuppose God, but you don't presuppose no God. We just did a conceptual analysis on that position, and we showed it was a fraud. So now do you want to admit that you presuppose no God and I presuppose God? Do you want to admit that? Or do you want to be intellectually dishonest fraud?
Sure, yeah, sure. I'll admit it, man.
Okay,
Whatever
so
lets
you have
me
to defend
speak.
no God. I
Sure.
defended God. Now it's
You
your turn to
well,
defend no God.
you
Go.
you tried to defend. Well, first of all, the only thing I presuppose is intelligibility, but you tried to defend the presupposition of
Now
God.
intellect goes right back into being intellectually dishonest. You
Uh,
agreed you
well,
presuppose no God.
Well, sure, I agreed because you're being abusive and you're gonna kick me if I say no. So sure, like I'll agree with
I'm being
whatever.
abusive. Okay, well get out. If I'm being abusive, I don't want to abuse you. Get out of here. Go argue with your mommy. She won't hurt your feelings.
What's up, man?
Welcome.
How we doing?
Doing well.
Good to
How
hear.
are you doing?
Oh, not so bad myself.
Um,
Lovely arguments this day. I would say for the intelligibility argument that the mind is the thing that holds it, at least from what I read. That's my godless argument.
what the hell are you talking about, dude?
Like the mind holds intelligibility. If
The
I'm
mind
getting
holds intelligibility. What does that
if I'm
even
getting
mean?
the definitions of intelligibility, right, which is the state of things being intelligible, which is
It just means we can
comprehensible.
understand the world.
Yeah, comprehensible.
You need to tell me in a godless story of how we can understand the world without God. So how does that work?
Through my five senses combined in my brain and then
Mhm.
over time.
And have you seen the movie The Matrix?
I actually have.
Okay, and Neo has five senses, but Neo doesn't know that he's in the Matrix. The five senses don't help him get to reality. He's in the Matrix. He needs the red pill to get to reality.
Right.
Yeah, science doesn't get him to reality. So how do you get to reality without God?
By not being in the Matrix.
Okay, but you're in the Matrix. Neo is in the Matrix. Neo has science. Neo has philosophy. Neo can't use science and philosophy to escape the Matrix. How do you escape the Matrix without God's revelation being the red pill?
By bending the spoon. Hacking the code.
You can't, right? Just admit it. I mean, this argument is so simple. I don't know why people do this.
Listen, it's because it's a fictional argument. Like it's literally using a fictional piece of media as
That's a real philosophy.
simulation.
You understand there's real philosophy in the media, the fictional
Of course.
media. It's based on
Of
real
course.
philosophy.
Yeah, the simulation theory.
Uh-huh. So
Right.
science can't disprove simulation theory. Philosophy can't disprove simulation theory, right?
It can't prove it either.
Uh-huh.
It can't prove it or disprove it.
So this is the problem of hard solipsism.
Right.
Okay. So hard solipsism is solved through God's revelation. So how do you solve hard solipsism without God's revelation? That's what I'm asking you.
I'm saying, what if God is a brain in a jar?
That doesn't solve hard solipsism, does it?
It doesn't, does it? Because even God could make us in a brain in a jar. So what if God's a solipsist?
Then that's a self-defeating worldview, so that would be a contradiction. Therefore, it can't be true. So
Self-defeating, as in just like it's like
if it's true, you wouldn't be able to say it's true. It's self-defeating, just like atheism.
What do you mean? What do you mean I wouldn't be able to say it's true? If
The
God is a solipsist
contradiction.
and he makes me, then he makes me with all of my parts and mouth words, then I'm able to say that God is a solipsist, and that could still be true if that is true, right?
Wrong.
That's
If God's a solipsist, then there's nothing that's going to connect your mind to reality to where you could make any claims about reality or any claims
God,
about God for that matter.
God does it for me.
Okay, thanks for coming. I'm looking to talk to serious people, but I
All
appreciate
right,
you.
man.
I wish
Have a
you
good
well.
night, man.
All
I
right.
love
Hopefully
you.
you repent. Yeah.
I love you.
Love you too, buddy. Oh no, there's a spider crawling on me. Crap, I hate spiders. Okay, hopefully you survived that. I blew him off. I blew him. Clip that. I blew that spider. Welcome, Ewan.
Hello.
Hello.
How does God's revelation solve hard solipsism?
Oh my god. It's the guy's harassing me. God's revelation solves hard solipsism because if ultimate reality is a person that reveals itself to us, then we could know ultimate reality and we can know what the world is. The creator-creature distinction puts the human mind in contact with the objects of knowledge and other minds through because that's what we're talking about. Like to solve hard solipsism, you need a single, concrete, unifying principle. To solve hard solipsism, you need a single, concrete, unifying principle. Have you heard someone mention that? Hey, buddy, did you hear anyone ever talk about a single, concrete, unifying principle? Does that sound familiar? What some famous apologist, I think, uses that. One could argue. Okay, so we're going back to talking about time, God and time. I'm reading Ryan Mullen's paper. We were talking about the idea that describes God as being present in all moments of time and not limited to single linear timeline like humans experience. Instead of being bound to one track of time, God moves every process and is present at every leading edge of events as they unfold. God's experience of time isn't confined to one sequence, but spans multiple independent timelines. Essentially, God is involved in the ongoing progression of all things, adapting to each moment's open possibilities. That's like hard for me to really understand. This is kind of like, okay, this is going over my head now. One could argue that this would make it impossible to use our metrics to measure the divine life of God, since God is related to multiple universes and their time sets. However, or their time series. However, one might wonder if God's eternal now would serve as a way to make each time series related to one another, like the unifying principle. Perhaps it is the case that the now of each universe is related because each now exists in the eternal now of God's metaphysical time. The now of each universe is simultaneous with God's eternal now, and thus simultaneous with each other. It might still be the case that each time series flows according to its own intrinsic metric, and it would still be the case that each instance of time exists in God's now only when that instant, in fact, exists at the presentist, as the presentist sees it, things. On this model, it would appear that God's eternal now serves as the boundary for each universe's cosmic time. This would be to reverse Craig's claim mentioned earlier. This is a very difficult topic, and the very existence of the multiverse is an issue of great debate. It is something that temporalists will need to consider if the evidence for a multiverse becomes stronger as science moves forward. I don't think it will. So, actually, the evidence for the multiverse won't become stronger, but they'll just indoctrinate and make it a dogma that there's a multiverse. I bet they do that. Because, like, deep time is failing to explain evolution, so they need a multiverse to explain evolution now. Yeah. No hate like Christian love. Love it.
What's up, Priest?
What you got?
I'm curious why you're still running, like, tag and all that different stuff when it's been defeated in almost every live, since everything external of yourself you can't prove is true. So that would be your senses, that would be God. Anything you receive from outside yourself, you can't confirm that it's actually true.
That sounds like a you problem. That's not a problem for me.
Then how do you prove that things outside of yourself are true?
Right, so we start with God's revelation of himself in creation as a transcendental like foundation upon which we could build the epistemologies of like rationality and empiricism. And so because
you prove that those are true,
because we have God as a transcendental foundation, so like I can trust my reason.
That part is what I was asking. My bad. I meant that you have God as an external thing.
Jesus Christ.
Prove that.
I'm trying to, and you keep interrupting me because you're a child. So anyways, because God's a transcendental foundation in my epistemology, I can use both like rational rational proofs, because I can trust my reason's designed by God. I can use empirical proof because God designed the world and he designed my senses and he designed them to be accurate or reliable. And so because of God as like the Bible as a transcendental foundation in my epistemology, I can have like rational and empirical proofs, and it's coherent and it makes sense. And if you deny that transcendental foundation, you couldn't have a coherent like epistemology. You're breaking up. So you see it? So the audience, did you hear how his microphone broke up and he was unintelligible? That's what the world would be like if atheism were true. But thank God we live in the Christian world so that he can actually speak in an intelligible way. You're breaking up, man. I can't hear you.
Make an assumption.
Breaking up. Can you fix your connection? Because I can't hear you. He's saying that I make an assumption while he's making an assumption. Yeah. I'm admitting that I have a bias to Christianity, but you have a bias to non-Christianity, so you have to prove your bias too. So how do you account for intelligibility in a godless world? That's begging the question. I'm asking you like what is reality? Like what's ultimate reality? So you can't just say reality. What is ultimate reality? That's what I'm asking you. You moron. Dude, I can't even like see how his mic is. This is what the world would be like if atheism was true. You couldn't understand anyone. The fact that we can understand each other, it proves God. I am dead ass. Dead ass. Oh, I don't know. He's having connection problems. Not really. I don't assume reality. I don't assume reality, dude. I'm saying that like I'm assuming ultimate reality is this creator personal God that reveals itself to me. Okay. So I'm asking you that's what I'm saying ultimate reality is. And I'm asking you what is ultimate reality if it's not that. So now you have to tell me. Because if you can't tell me what ultimate reality is, you can't talk about reality. And if you can't talk about reality, you can't debate.
Reality is observations of things, test it, we observe it, all the different stuff. Like, but the first step is to assume that the reality outside of ourselves is real. And if you assume that God is real, then you are also assuming that reality outside of you is real, because you don't get to God unless you go through reality. So you making it
I'm not making it, dude. I'm just gonna. Your mic's terrible, and you don't know what you're talking about. You don't understand the metaphysical. This guy doesn't. The guy does. They just like refuse to learn. It's funny. So I don't know. Keep not knowing anything about metaphysics and debating and getting wrecked on metaphysics. I don't care. You just make atheism look silly. So that's what they want to do. Well, I don't know anything about metaphysics, so I'm gonna go debate this guy in metaphysics. I'm an atheist. I'll just win by default because atheism is rational for some reason. How can you love atheism? It's awful. Like, look at the French Revolution. It's really bad. I think atheism is like a poison on the world. Because I think human life has value, and it only has value if something can actualize the value. And in atheism, there's nothing that actualizes value. So when you become an atheist, you actually devalue human life and humanity. Okay, so we're talking about metaphysical time, how we can't measure metaphysical time, we can measure physical time. Okay, the last point of contention, and what was the debate? We're talking about the multiverse and a view of what is the view that God is present in all moments of time and not limited to a single moment or linear time. Like he's present in all multiverses or something. I don't know. Like there's multiple timelines and God's present in multiple timelines. Okay, so the last point of contention brings us to the final theme that divine temporalists often contend. Metaphysical time can relate to other worlds and their times. This is because metaphysical time is the ground of ordering relations of physical time. Physical time's existence and structure are completely dependent on metaphysical time. It is God's causal act of sustaining the world that not only keeps that world in existence, but also makes times flow in that world. As such, God can easily relate to other worlds with various physical time structures because his eternal time is what keeps those structures in order. Perhaps an illustration will help bring about this last point. Consider a comic book. The panels of a comic book could be thought of as periods of time standing in successive temporal order. The order of these periods is due to the work of the author of the comic book. Yet there is no flow of time in a comic book unless someone is reading it. In the very act of reading, the reader creates a flow of time for the comic book. The reader's actions are what sustain the time of the comic book, yet the reader's time is not identical to the comic book. That's interesting. By the act of reading it, we put time into the comic book. The comic book becomes a part of our time or something. In a similar way, God's act of sustaining the world in existence creates the flow of time in our physical universe. Oh, that's deep. And the same goes for any other world that God may have created. Yet one might contend that God's time is not identical to ours because he could slow down or speed up the processes of the world or even cease to sustain the world in existence. Can he, though? Unless he reveals that he can do that, we wouldn't know. We couldn't say that he could do that. I like that. I like that one. Is that it? Oh, that's it. I finished the paper. All right. Well, good stuff. Good stuff. What we got in the chat? Guys, why are you arguing when the common enemy is right here? Who's the common enemy? Just saying religion is a learned subject, not something natural. What difference does it make if it's learned or natural? If religion's natural, it doesn't make it more true. Any religion is about control. I'm anti-control. Well, science is more about control than religion. Science controls us today far more than religion ever has. Science, like, here I can read even like Bertrand Russell talking about this. If you're against control, you should be against science too. If you want to be consistent or intellectually honest, I know that you probably don't care, and you probably just want to be a cognitive dissonance boy. Okay, so this is Bertrand Russell. The book is The Impact of Science on Society in 1953, page 49. Scientific societies are as yet in their infancy. It is to be expected that advances in physiology and psychology will give governments much more control over individual mentality than they now have, even in totalitarian countries. Fichte laid it down that education should aim at destroying free will, so that after pupils have left school, they shall be incapable throughout the rest of their lives of thinking or acting otherwise than their schoolmasters would have wished. There's more too. He says, I think the subject which will be most important politically is mass psychology, which is a science. Its importance has been enormously increased by the growth of modern methods of propaganda. Modern methods of propaganda are enhanced by science, right? Of these, the most influential is what is called education. And then he does mention religion. He says religion plays a part, though a diminishing one. So I will agree with you that religion in the past has been used to control people as a primitive form of propaganda. But if I'm just pointing out that if your logic is, well, religion was used to control people, therefore I don't believe it's true. Well, we're going to have to apply that to science, unfortunately, because science controls people today far more than religion could have ever hoped to in the past. Religion was very primitive form of propaganda, and because of science and technology, technology is another one you're going to have to throw out, right? Science and technology has resulted in much more control over populations than any religion could have ever dreamed of. And it's not even close or debatable, so... Well, he goes on here, though. He talks about, like, the press, the cinema, and the radio play an increasing part in propaganda. Well, we're really seeing the propaganda in the press. I saw a video where CNN was lying about Joe Rogan taking, like, a horse dewormer when he was taking human medicine. They were acting like he was taking horse medicine, and he was, like, goofy and had weird scientific beliefs when that wasn't true. The media was lying about it. Yeah, science is fun, sure, if you're like a tyrant or a dictator. Then you can use science to like control people. It's great. How do I feel about Elon Musk? I don't like Elon Musk. I don't trust any rich person or famous person or powerful person. I think they're all super corrupt and in league with the devil. If you want my honest opinion. I don't think you get to like a high position in the world without making a deal with the man down below. Yeah, but is it justified that P1 is never justified? Because I justify P1 all the time, and then you guys just claim we don't justify P1. So can you justify that we don't justify P1? They just assert it. You notice that? They never justify P1. Well, how do you know that? What's your proof of that? Because I'm sitting here justifying P1 all day, and you just pretend that I don't. Dude, I've done it endless. It's simple as hell. If you look, here's how the argument works, okay? Um, for intelligibility, okay, we have to have the uniformity of nature. Because if you deny the uniformity of nature, if the uniformity of nature is not true, then we couldn't understand the world. Or if like the law of identity wasn't true, if we couldn't identify our experience, we couldn't understand the world. So for the law of identity to be true, you need an absolute identity statement that will secure and impose the identity of things in the world, so that we as humans can identify the things of the world in order to even experience the world. Prior to even experiencing anything, the law of identity is necessarily true because we need to use the law of identity to even experience something. And so to defeat the absolute identity claim of Jesus, you're going to need another absolute identity claim to negate that identity claim. So now the onus is going to be on you to tell me, so what's your absolute identity claim that you can use in order to like ground logic so that you can like even make an argument? Because if it's the case that the Christian God is absolute identity statements necessary for logic, and that logic is necessary to make an argument, then any argument would implicitly be an evidence of God due to the necessary entailments. So what's your absolute identity statement that's not Jesus Christ that can ground the law of identity? Go ahead. Because I've made a positive claim, right? I'm saying Jesus is the absolute identity statement, right? That can ground my position so I can argue. So what is your absolute identity statement to ground your position to argue that's not Jesus? Because if you don't have that, that means when you argue, you must be using my absolute identity statement to argue. I'm not just repeating. He says, see, he goes, you're just repeating the claim. Yeah, but to say that I'm repeating the claim, you need an absolute identity statement. Because you're using the law. You understand when you say I'm repeating the claim, you're using the law of identity because you're identifying my claim, right? That I'm repeating. So that's a pattern, right? That's the law of identity. So what's the absolute identity statement that's not Jesus that you need to even say that I'm making a claim? Go ahead. And he laughs. And this is what they do. See, these non-Christians are not serious people. See how they claim, oh, I just want the evidence. And look, I just gave him the evidence and he doesn't care. And he just sits there and goes, it's not evidence. I'll just bury my head in the sand. La, 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 God's not real. La, la, la. The atheists are like that dog, that meme where the dog's in the room's on fire. And they're like, this is fine. Yo, I should get that meme. Yeah, he's not engaging Rasul, is he? He's just doing a LARP that I'm not giving an argument when I'm clearly giving an argument. I don't Do you think like lying and pretending I'm not making an argument this is how you debate people? You just pretend? I don't get it. Well, have fun with your pretend debates. I'll be over here in the real world with Jesus. Have fun with your fantasy debate. Pai Chai, whatever. Can't even come on panel. He's in the chat like a coward. Maybe we should go through the emotional arguments for God, right? Since these people are a bunch of babies, let's do the emotional arguments. So the lesson we've learned from this live is that if you want to convince a non-Christian that Christianity is true, you can't use evidence or logic, because the non-Christian doesn't care about evidence. They don't care about logic. You have to use emotional arguments, because we're dealing with people that believe what they want to be true. They're not believing what is true. So I got some emotional arguments. So there's also there's ethos, which is an appeal to the credibility of character. That's another type of argument we can use. Hey, like Kobe Bryant is a Christian. Don't you think Kobe Bryant is cool? Do you guys like Kobe Bryant? He's a basketball star. Listen to what Kobe Bryant says, okay? I'm gonna play a clip. This is Kobe Bryant. He's going to heaven with Jesus.
God is great. Is it that simple? God is great. Don't get no simpler than that, bro. Did you know that? I mean, everybody knows that, but the way you know it now, did you know it before that incident took place? You can know it all you want, but until you got to pick up that cross that you can't carry, and he picks it up for you and carries you and the cross, then you know.
Did you hear what Kobe said? Kobe says, here, I'll play that again.
Know it all you want, but...
What is it? Here, sorry. He says, you can know it all you want, but until you have to pick up that cross that you can't carry yourself, and he helps you pick that cross up, then you really know. This is Kobe Bryant.
Incident took place. You can know it all you want, but until you got to pick up that cross that you can't carry, and he picks it up for you and carries you and the cross, then you know.
Yeah, and Kobe carried the Lakers, guys. Even Kobe Bryant, the guy, that man was a superhuman legend. He carried other men to victory himself. This man carried other men to victory, and even he needed Jesus. It's not, well, I'm not using. Yeah, I know it's a fallacy because I'm appealing to ethos, not logos. Dipshit.
So your argument runs off of like the Descartes I think therefore I am argument. You're self-proclaiming that it must be true because there can be no other truth, in my opinion.
It's a transcendental argument. Well, yeah, the idea of a transcendental argument is that the denial of the conclusion would entail like a performative contradiction.
But so what the problem with the devout Christian mindset is that there must be a God, otherwise I have no purpose. Right? And all the contradiction to that is my purpose is whatever the universe has decided my purpose is.
It's not that I would have a purpose or that the universe would have no purpose. And to say that the universe has no purpose would be an absurdity because we experience the purpose of the universe all the time.
So you're experiencing the universe, okay, but the word purpose is a human construct word.
It's not.
So are you telling me that humans didn't create the word purpose and didn't give it definitions? Is that what we're going to start with?
Humans create words, but humans don't like. So humans stop. a word is a token, but then the token refers to something that's real. So like there's the word apple, that's the token. Humans create the token, but the thing the word refers to, humans don't create that.
No, so we have words for things that are observed, and then we create words for emotional context.
So purpose
Like
is something
love,
that's actual, that's not something
spirituality. Those are words we created because they're not tangible in our world, in the real world. So like trees, okay, that's tangible. We can interact and perceive that, right? And interact. So there's one thing to perceive something and another thing to interact with it.
But that's
right?
a tree exemplifies purpose. We couldn't have a tree if there was no like inherent purpose in the world.
No, see, when we go back to the word purpose, you're saying it has purpose. That's from the self-identity.
No, you're not getting it. You're saying it has purpose.
You say
too.
no, does
you're not, because you're not. This is going over your head. This is going over your head.
No, I don't think it is.
You don't understand the metaphysical landscape that's going on here. So it's either that we live in a world of intention, or there's a world without intention behind the creation of the world. You see what I'm saying?
Okay. So let's say the world has intention, right? But that intention has no connection to a creator and less connection to Jesus Christ in the Bible. Is that not possible?
You wouldn't be able to justify any claim about that without revelation.
Sure, I could replace the word God and Jesus Christ
focus on what I'm presenting to you?
Universe at any time and get the same results on a metaphysical plane, in a philosophical concept.
But if we're going to debate, you have to provide a reason for your position. You can't just say something is the case.
So in my debate, there's no increase or there's no punishment or reward that changes from any belief of any God or the lack thereof.
You can't talk about God unless God reveals himself.
So I can't use a word? Or
you can't make claims about God unless God reveals himself, because your human reasoning and observations can't tell us anything about God.
So there is no position that a human can take unless they recognize God and Jesus Christ. That's your claim. There is no position that a human can take.
You wouldn't be justified in any position that obviously you can have irrational positions. You can have a rational position.
What's the criteria for justification?
Just like a good reason to think something's true.
Okay, so I have a good reason to believe that Jesus Christ isn't the Lord and Savior, because there's not significant evidence to prove that. There's not sufficient evidence to prove that.
That's just repeating the claim. So what you're saying is that evidence exists with independence of God, but I don't agree with that.
Well, what we're doing is we're bouncing around to try to get to definitions, right? So I'm telling you that
definitions don't matter.
What?
Definitions don't matter. We don't have to talk about definitions unless you're speaking a different language or something.
Well, we have to define the
No, we don't. I don't want to talk about definitions. It doesn't matter.
Then how do you know what your words even mean without the definitions?
Because I'm a native English speaker.
Okay,
you're saying that evidence can exist.
Oh my God. Is that you know everything and you're the only one that can be right.
I say God's necessary for evidence. You disagree. You say evidence can exist with independence of God. So how did you determine that?
Based on the idea that I perceive and interact.
That doesn't work. You're like, perception doesn't give you to what the world is.
Same position that you're taking, just without God.
Perception doesn't get you to the actual world. So you just perceive. You could be in the Matrix or a dream, and you wouldn't know the difference. So that doesn't get you.
You wouldn't either. Your God doesn't give you any difference.
No, I know that I'm not in the Matrix because because ultimate reality is a personal creator, God that knows everything.
No,
I have access to this thing that knows everything. You see?
No, you don't. You think you do.
Of course I do.
You think you do.
No, I do.
Okay, well then ask the access that knows everything what the cure for cancer is.
It's to stop talking to atheists, I think.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's possible, but you're not the authority on this subject. So you don't get to say like,
you're completely ignorant of metaphysics. So what do we do now?
Because you say so? I'm ignorant of metaphysics because you say so?
Do you know? So what's a worldview? Do you know what that is?
Worldview?
Yeah. Do you know what that is?
No, not from the way that you're positioning it. No, I don't.
Yeah. So you're ignorant of metaphysics.
No, I don't think I am.
You are. You know probably about science.
You are.
You might know some philosophy. You might know some science. You might know some philosophy, but you don't know anything about metaphysics.
So, metaphysics, the study of the physical world, the real world.
So science and philosophy deals with how we perceive the world to be, yes, and then metaphysics deals with what the world actually is, or the real world.
Yeah, but the real world can only be an interpretation of our perception. So then it goes back to empirical method.
That's why we need revelation. So revelation is knowledge that comes from God. So God can give us knowledge.
No. Yeah. See, you're injecting something where it's not necessary. You feel it's necessary, but it's not. And if it was necessary, we wouldn't be able to have this debate.
But how do you defeat hard solipsism then? Like you're in the matrix without revelation. How do you get out of the matrix?
You don't need to get out of the matrix.
Well, sure you do. How the matrix isn't intelligible because the matrix isn't intelligible. When Neo talks about things in the matrix, he's talking nonsense because nothing he says corresponds to reality. Neo in the matrix finds a fossil, he's going to go, well, this fossil is like 2 million years old, but the matrix is only like 100 years old. So the fossil isn't 2 million years old, but he thinks it is because it's simulated to appear that way. So nothing he says corresponds to reality if you're in the matrix. So you don't have truth.
Yes, but standing from everybody in the matrix looking at Neo has schizophrenia. Neo has a mental condition. So everybody in the matrix is perceiving their reality, which makes their reality real to them.
It real. No, it doesn't.
No, you would have to be able to stand outside of the earth and time and everything else in order to understand if this reality was real or not. And since you can't, it must be real to you without a God to justify that.
I'm not interested in your atheist fantasy, right? I'm a Christian and I'm a realist. So how do you get to the real world from atheism? You
are in the real world in atheism. You just don't believe that somebody created it and either left it alone or created it and manipulates everything and then judges you for their manipulation. That's the difference.
You're prevaricating. You're being dishonest, intellectually dishonest, and this is a cognitive dissonance.
It may hurt your feelings.
It doesn't hurt my feelings. I'm just letting you know.
It sounds like it does.
You're being intellectually dishonest, and this is a type of cognitive dissonance because you don't live your life like you're in the matrix.
You don't have the
qualifications. You live your life like you live in a real world.
Show me your psychology degree or your doctoral in that subject.
You just showed me your atheism LARP by your lack of ability to defend your position. So there you go.
What lack of ability to defend my position?
You're an atheist LARPer. You can't defend atheism, dude. Just admit it.
You can.
Admit it, your positions are rational.
If there was God, there would be no debate on his existence. End of story.
There's debate about flat Earth, so does that mean the Earth isn't a sphere?
No. The fact that there's debate about whether the Earth is flat determines that the Earth is most likely not flat.
Yeah, and the Christian atheist debate proves that Christianity is true.
You want to move to the flat Earth? That's a physical interaction. Well, we can take measurements and touch and feel and observe, right? But when we get into deism or the deities of the world, it's an abstract concept, and therefore it can be debated without resolution, and therefore is not real.
But I'm giving an objective proof, and you're ignoring it and being emotional and believing what you want to be true.
And I'm giving you another objective proof, and you're ignoring that.
What's your objective
proof? You're saying there has to be, or there can't. All you're saying is there has to be a God, or nothing can be. And
Yeah,
all I'm saying
how
is
do you ground intelligibility in your godless
his
worldview?
being
How do you ground intelligibility in your godless worldview?
from my perception of what is
Okay, thank you
intelligibility.
for coming. Thank you for coming. I'm looking to talk to rational people, and like a dog to its vomit, you just keep repeating your folly. Thank you for coming. I wish you well.
You're so rude and condescending. Piss
Well, it's
off.
just what the Bible's. Here, I'll get the Bible. I'm not trying to be rude. I'll get the Bible verse. I'm not trying to be a jerk. Proverbs 21. Proverbs 26:11. Like a dog that returns to his vomit is a fool who repeats his folly. I just told you how your perceptions of the world can't make the world intelligible. And then when I asked him how he has intelligibility, he says it's my perceptions. So that's the definition of Proverbs 26:11. Like a dog that returns to his vomit is a fool who repeats his folly. Okay? And this is atheism. Iran, okay, but he just kept nonsense. Oh, welcome, guest.
Yep.
What you got? What you gotta say?
Wait, which side are you on? Are you the Christian side or the atheist side?
I'm a Christian.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
Okay, right on.
All
All right, man. God bless.
right, you too.
What's up, man? Why can't I not hear you? What the?
Oh, I muted
Oh,
myself.
there you go. There you go.
What's up?
Define cognitive dissonance.
It's when you have beliefs that are like inconsistent, like contradict.
All right, fair enough, fair enough. So you say you're a realist. I just want to ask you a question. What do you think about literally any scientific discovery made before Jesus Christ was even a thing?
They're only possible because Jesus Christ was always a thing at the beginning.
All right, so let me break this down for you. There are scientific discoveries before Jesus Christ was even a thing.
No, Jesus Christ was in the Garden of Eden. He was at
The discovery of the shape of the earth happened before Jesus Christ even existed.
Listening to me.
What do you think about that?
Jesus Christ was in the Garden of Eden with Adam and Eve. So Jesus was at the
You're a
beginning.
realist, right? You're a realist, right?
I'm a realist.
You're a realist.
Hell yeah.
You're a realist, and you're telling me right now the Garden of Eden existed.
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
What?
Okay.
I'm a Christian. I'm a Christian.
How old is the earth?
I don't know.
You don't know.
No.
It's billions of years old. How old do you think the first civilization is? It was the Sumerians.
Yeah, but I don't believe what they say about the ages because they just assume that the earth is.
You're a realist. It's not about belief.
It is science. Science just presupposes that the earth is billions of years old. They don't prove it.
I'm dealing with the most science illiterate person I've ever spoken to.
I'm not science illiterate. You're science illiterate.
For sure, dude.
Yeah, here I can quote scientists that actually are philosophers of science.
Philosophers of science? You mean geologists? Geologists know the age of the earth. This is how I know that you're science illiterate, because you said philosophers of science, and you don't even know the field of science.
The philosophy of science.
Why don't you quote some geologists about the age of the earth?
Imre Lakatos, he says, one can today easily demonstrate that there can be no valid derivation of a law of nature from any finite number of facts, but we still keep reading about scientific theories being proved from facts. Why this stubborn resistance to elementary logic? So science, did you know that? Science doesn't prove anything?
It doesn't prove anything? Ever?
It doesn't prove
Are you sitting here on your phone that is the only reason why it exists is because of science and our understanding of many different fields of science? You're telling me right now,
science
on the device that you're holding on your hand, using a device that's also a computer that only exists because of science, you're telling me right now it doesn't prove anything.
I'm quoting Imre Lakatos. It doesn't prove things from facts. Yeah, that's correct. It's provisional truth.
You're a fucking moron, Morris. Like, straight up, man.
Okay, well,
I don't know. I can't sugarcoat it, man. Like, you're genuinely a moron.
But I just quoted someone who's like an expert in the field that's agreeing with me, and he's disagreeing with what you're saying. But I'm a moron.
Yes, you are a total moron.
Okay.
Genuinely. Like, come on. You are talking to me on a device that only exists because we understand science.
Okay.
Using a computer that only exists because we understand science in a home that is probably heated or AC'd because we understand science. Do you have a car?
Mm-hmm.
You have a car because the only reason why you have a car is because we understand science. Have you ever flown in a plane?
Yeah, I think science is possible because of Christianity.
Okay, so explain literally any scientific discovery before Jesus Christ even existed.
Jesus Christ
did not exist since the beginning of time of the creation of earth or the creation of humanity. That is just blatantly incorrect.
It's a straw man of Christianity. So
when did Jesus exist?
at the beginning
of
everything, he's all eternal.
He's always been a thing.
Yes.
How do you know?
That's what's revealed.
And where?
The Bible.
And how do you know that's true?
Because the Bible's self-authenticating in the fact that we use the Bible to determine anything is true.
You cannot be serious right now. This thing is true because it says so in the book.
It's my verification principle.
Circular reason. All right, fine.
You're asking me, so how do you verify your verification principle without
through repeatable tests? That's what science is.
That's big.
Wow.
That's circular reasoning, though.
No, the fuck it's not.
Yes, it is.
How the hell is that?
How do you verify your verification principle with your verification principle?
If I want to verify the validity of something, I do repeated tests that come to the same conclusion.
That's
and
circular.
I can make predictions and I can use mathematical equations.
Circular, sir. That's circular.
Mars, tell me right now.
So does science prove that science?
Mars,
Are you saying science tests prove science tests are true?
Not all the time, no. Not all the time, no. That's how science works.
But they do
it's
sometimes.
A process.
That's circular. Do you understand that's circular?
No, it's okay. Let me ask you something.
So science. No. Let's stay on this.
No, let's stay on this. No. I gotta read my book because
we're
of
not
my
moving.
child.
We're focusing. You're going to admit that your position's circular.
It's not. You're just science
illiterate.
illiterate.
Thank you for coming. I want to talk to
You're just science illiterate because you're a moron.
You're an emotional person. Thank you.
You're just a moron.
Okay.
You're raising your voice and you're saying I'm emotional. For sure.
Because you're believing what you want to be true rather than the evidence. That's emotional. That's what I mean.
What fucking evidence? I asked you what is your best proof that the Bible is true, and you literally sat there and told me, well, the Bible is self-validating. What the fuck does that even mean? The claims are all in the Bible, and you're using the Bible as proof for the Bible. Come on, man.
I gave you a transcendental proof.
Your transcendental proofs consists of utter garbage, and almost every single person in the comments that comes up here tells you it's garbage. They tell you it's garbage, yet you continuously use the same arguments. Come on.
Emotional damage.
Emotional damage. That's what we have. Okay. Guest after guest. It's just emotional damage every time. Emotional damage. Welcome, guest.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing well. Dealing with the emotional non-believers. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Nice. So what you got?
I was just, observing the conversation, and I get what you're trying to say, and I get what he's trying to say, and yeah, there was, definitely some emotions there. I do want to point out that the concept of a singular identity or a singular, source, has never ever meant a singular person. Not historically, not biblically.
What are you talking about? What concept?
So you made the reference that a singular source is responsible for all of creation.
Yeah, creator.
Every galaxy that has ever existed. We have more galaxies than a number to define galaxies.
Mm-hmm.
So claiming a single deity or a single entity is the cause of all of that. Has never been no Bible, there's no, guru, no one has ever said that. Ever.
No one has said what? No,
no one
Christian
has ever
Bible-
said that a singular deity, has been responsible for everything that exists.
That's what the Bible teaches.
No, it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
You're wrong. You're not reading.
I'm not wrong. I'm not wrong. You're just
No, Christ point blank said, "Ye
Are you
are
a Christian?
gods.
Are you a
Ye
Christian?
are all children of the Most High." Yes, of course.
Okay. I'm looking to talk
Ye
to
are
non-believers.
gods. Ye are
Thanks for
all
coming.
children of the Most High.
Yeah. Wow. Very unique. The guy's unique. Welcome.
Welcome.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing, sir?
Good. I'm doing well.
Good. So my only thing is, and I mean, I can keep it brief, because it seems like you're trying to get a certain type of person on here.
Well,
But my thing is that the viewpoints that you're talking about are kind of like half accurate and half not, because the issue with a lot of Christians is that they take the Bible literally, and that's not the way it was meant to be read.
According to you.
It was originally written. No, not according to me. It was originally written in Greek.
Christian?
I'm a spiritualist. I'm not Christian, but I recognize what the Bible is.
Interested in listening to you preach some nonsense. So
It's not nonsense. It was written in Greek. That's originally written in Greek. That's historically true.
Okay, so
when you're talking, let me just ask you something. Do you believe the potter's house was an actual potter's house, or do you think it was in regard of spiritual law?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's in the Bible. It talks about going to the potter's house.
I don't have the whole Bible memorized.
Okay. So what if you don't have the whole Bible memorized? Okay, cool. So what is the Bible telling you?
What do you mean? It's a book about God and
What is God?
God's like the necessary mind that created everything.
Okay, and where did the necessary mind that created everything come from?
He's eternal, is a deity.
It's eternal, correct, but where did God come from?
He didn't come from anywhere. He's eternal.
Eternal from where?
I answered your question.
You didn't though. You're giving me like a random phrase that someone probably preached to you.
Damage.
To be honest, it sounds like you're just trolling.
I'm trolling?
You have to be, because this is hilarious.
What do you think eternal means?
What is your definition of eternal? Since you're the one using it, I'm not the one using it, so what does eternal mean? Let's get on a common ground here.
Let's Google it. Because I guess you don't know.
Make sure you Google it in what it meant in Greek times, because that's where the Bible originated from.
Okay, okay. What did... I'll ask ChatGPT. What did eternal mean in Greek times? Okay. In ancient Greek...
And is God someone that had long brown hair known as Jesus Christ, or where was God, or was he just the face? Can you answer that since you read the Bible?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to give me the answer. Jesus Christ was the message of God. Jesus Christ was the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit was the origin of everything. The Holy Spirit was what people call discernment now. Do you have the Holy Spirit in your life? Do you know what that looks like? Do you know where the Holy Spirit actually is?
Yeah, it's the power of God's love to transform the world and transform.
Okay, and where'd that come from? Where'd that force from the Holy Spirit actually come from? Where did it originate? And
God.
don't say from the beginning of time, because that's bullshit. Where did it come from?
God.
Okay,
So
where did God
the Greek
originate
word
from?
for
God just
eternal-
appeared one day and was like, surprise, I'm here.
It's just really obnoxious. Okay, there we go. So I guess the Greek word for eternal is aionios, which doesn't really mean infinite or forever as we interpret it today. It means age, enduring through an age. But in the context of the Bible, we're talking about the Alpha and the Omega, the everlasting to everlasting. So God is eternal. God always existed. He's everlasting. He's the beginning and the end. So that's what we mean when we say God's eternal. So to ask like where did God come from is a nonsense question, which I was trying to explain to you, but it's just very uncooperative and difficult. So there you go. Another ignorant person. So basically, history will show us that we can't prove anything without God. And this isn't just the speculations of a committed Christian. A lot of atheist philosophers will admit this, that we can't know things. Because they're proposing, the atheist position's proposing a world of chance, which doesn't make sense. Yeah, I'm taking guess. What's up, Sela?
Hey, how are you doing today, Precept?
Doing well. How are you?
Oh, I can't complain as usual.
Nice. Should I add people, or you got something you want to say?
Oh no, you can start adding people.
Oh yeah, there's one person. Trump wants to talk to us.
Yo,
Welcome.
what's up? Yeah, so are you one of those Christians who says like, there's no morality without God and like you could people would be raping and murdering is like if there was no if there's no God because like all morality is derived from God.
There'd be nothing to actualize morality. So morality, like values, wouldn't be actual. They'd be fantasy. So you couldn't be like a realist. You'd have to be.
Well, no, because if that's what you said, then you have like no axioms, right? You have no like
What?
it's just
Yeah, I don't
it's just
believe in.
based on
You can't debate an axiom.
it's just based on invented authority, like this manufactured authority figure, right? It's
No, God is objectively
if
provable.
well, no, but if you look at if you want to actually construct a consistent moral framework, a much better something much better to base that on is like empathy or like the non-aggression principle
No.
or the fact that rape and murder objectively makes the world worse. I mean,
Yeah, you
I think
can't.
it reveals a lot.
You say it
Christians, I think it
objectively.
reveals a lot. Christians that say they would there would be like mass rape and murder if like if there was no God or if nobody derived their
I'm
morality
not
from God.
saying.
It really
I'm not
shows
saying that.
like me personally, I rape and murder as much as I want to, which is none, right? Because my moral framework is based on again empathy and the non-aggression principle and not transgressing the rights of others.
Yeah, but the point is like it's not real. So to make it real that these things are evil, that people are doing evil, you have to have something that actualizes the evil. What would actualize the evil if it's not God?
What
So if nothing actual,
the effects on other people, the effects on the world. I mean, again, it just shows like how much you don't care about other people. Like, the only thing that's stopping you from
just
doing
says
violence is like a magic man in the sky that watches you jerk off.
it just shows you don't care about metaphysics. So you just want to make claims about fantasy and have your fantasy be real or something.
My fantasy of like the empirical fact that the trauma caused by grape and murder negatively affects the world.
So yeah, so like you're smuggling in there like value judgments that are justified. You're just what you're saying is like not real.
Okay, then justify the material benefit of grape and murder to me then.
So when you say the like I don't know, Ted Bundy. When you say Ted Bundy is evil, it's just your fantasy. It's not. There's nothing that's he's not actually evil. There's nothing that's actualizing that word to make him evil. It's just you're saying, well, in my fantasy, I'm pretending Ted Bundy's evil. Where when I say Ted Bundy's evil because I'm a Christian, God actually makes him evil and will send him to hell for doing evil.
So you think there's nothing wrong with Ted Bundy's actions outside of the moral framework that you have based on Christianity?
It's not. It's. I want to live in reality. I'm a Christian realist, and atheism is a fantasy where everything is like make believe and pretend. It's a pretend world, but I don't want to live in the pretend world. I want to live in the real world.
The pretend world where you base your moral framework on like something that is wholly unprovable, that is
I
like
told you.
that has been like taken advantage of by like,
I
you know,
told you it's
again,
objective.
rapists, murderers, and abusers throughout time because it's a manufactured authority figure.
Yeah, you're just ignoring what I'm presenting to you, like a dog that returns to its vomit. A fool repeats his folly.
Okay, prove God. Prove God. Because I mean, if you can't prove God, then there's no
Okay,
then there's no.
so I'm going to ask you a question. In a world where God exists,
In a
and he has
world
a
where I'm a bald divorced man on TikTok and I'm 50 years old and
okay,
I
hey,
should have killed myself a long time
dude,
ago.
listen to me. I'm a mod in here, and if you're going to be a typical atheist jerk, I'll kick you in the blink of an eye.
Dude, you're a fucking loser. Kick me right now. Kill
Okay,
yourself.
so you see, this is what you've got. We're trying to speak with you intelligently, and you immediately resort to acting worse
I
than a
had to
teenager.
kick him, Darth, because he said something that's going to get me.
Okay, so you see, in a world where God is, right, then God would be the ultimate reference point, right? But without God, what's their reference point as to what anything is?
Well, did you hear what I said to him?
Why is one arrangement of molecules, even if we grant them a deterministic world, right? Why is one particular configuration of molecules interacting and bumping into other molecules? Why is one state of affairs evil and versus the other?
Exactly. Like he wants to sit here and say like grape is evil, but there's nothing according to his position that would actualize. Is that am I right in saying that, Darth, or would you not put
Yes,
it?
yeah. I just want to make an objection. I don't want Tab Mitchell up on the stage because he's better looking than I am.
All right, I'll take care of that right now.
No, I'm joking. I'm kidding.
Oh,
No.
whoops.
Bring him back up again. He won't let me on his show.
No, I'm playing. I just kicked him to be funny.
Okay.
He knows I can handle it.
I can handle it, man. I can handle it.
Hey, I think you guys have a Bible verse backing you up. Where there is no law, there is no sin. But where there's law, there's sin.
That's right.
The law makes us
and the law represents and reflects the character of God.
Mm-hmm. And sin is lawlessness, which is why people act the way they are because of that.
Just remember, the non-presuppositionalists agree with us when we hold that atheists do not have any objective grounding for moral distinctions or value judgments. But they stop there. Why stop there? If there's no objective grounding for moral distinctions or value judgments, why is there objective grounding for anything in a world without God?
So
Exactly.
I made this
And in fact,
background so I don't have to repeat the rules all the time. There we go.
yeah. So when we talk about a world without God, that's nonsense. And the reason why it's nonsense is, how do you account for what actualizes the unity that represents the world? The term world is a statement of unity. What unifies anything at all? And including, if the world represents the unity of its parts, then its parts must be made up of identity states. So what actualizes the unity of any particular identity state from another identity state, okay, in respect to the whole set? So there's no way to speak intelligibly in their world, because they cannot account for the imposition or the actuality of unity or identity statements.
So I've had that like deconstructing atheism on my background. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, I did. I like that. That's good.
Yeah, so I've had people come up and they go, "How can you deconstruct a lack of belief?" And I just go, "Watch me."
Yeah. because that's not what atheism is.
Well,
right?
yeah, but I just
They
just humor them because like whatever, even if you want to define it like that, it's like I don't care, because I can still show, we can do the conceptual analysis.
It just goes to show you that there are grown-ass adults who are going, atheism, a lack of belief. I said to an atheist who tried that with me yesterday, an adult atheist, I said, okay, so if atheism is simply and only the absence of a positive belief, I said, is there a single word in the entire English language that is used pervasively that designates those who deny God? Does such a word exist? And the guy was literally playing dumb. Like the word atheist didn't pop into his mind, but he didn't dare say it, because to say that would bring in a contradiction to his definition that atheism is simply an absence of positive belief in God. Right?
Yeah,
This is how dishonest they are.
I've been studying and watching these like I'm like Jane Goodall studying like chimpanzees. I'm like watching these atheists, right? And I noticed I notice they don't really make arguments. What they do is they talk about definitions of words, and they just try to like entrap you into some like contradiction in a definition.
I've got a new title for you: Precept Mars, the atheist anthropologist.
Yeah, exactly. They're fascinating.
That's what you have to do. Oh boy. They are something, okay? They are something.
I mean, if you're interested in like psychology, it's just a fascinating study,
Yeah, once you invoke the word Sky Daddy, you're waving the white flag of surrender, because that's not a substantive rebuttal of our position. It's just sarcasm without substance.
It's really like this like Arrested Development. They have really like a teenage mentality when you talk to them. It's like so.
Well, Alvin Plantinga says the same thing in the beginning of his book entitled Where the Conflict Really Lies. And he refers to the new atheists, which are more representative of internet atheists than anything else. They literally think and act like teenagers.
They're saying, that guy Cosmic Skeptic, he's trying to move away from new atheism, and he's like changed his name.
I wasted almost an hour of my life listening to his lecture on how he became an atheist.
I did too. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Total waste of time.
I was like, wow, he's got an argument.
An atheist is because he's unconvinced. That's it.
It was clickbait. Like you click the video thinking he's going to make an argument, and then he never makes an argument.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, he put out a video recently talking about how new atheism is dying, or that was kind of like the topic of the conversation. And I think
That's because he wants to present himself as a cooler, calmer, collected, intelligent representation. But it's not going to fly. And by the way, that mustache looks stupid on him.
Yeah, I'm not really a fan of mustache. Like, it takes a certain person to pull off a mustache, I think.
Yeah, only certain mustaches look good.
I can mute people who are doxing, right?
Are the people doxing? If people are doing a full name, or mute people if they're doing if they're saying Darth's name.
Like a first name.
If they're saying the full name, block them. If they're just saying a first name, I'd say just mute them.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. It's not that we're recoiling and shocked. Oh, they're giving out what they think my name is. They're being blocked, right? Because from their perspective, they're literally being nefarious. Right?
I'm against doxing is wrong because that can actually harm. Like, what if there's someone that has that name that's getting harassed right now that doesn't even have anything to do with Darth?
Yeah.
Like, that's not right. So I just don't want that to happen because there's a lot of like deranged people that hate Darth and that will order him like pizzas or do anything they can, to mess with people. So,
well,
people have been unalived as a result of doxing and like what do they call it, swatting.
Yeah, Matt Slick was swatted.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I think more than once.
That's no joke. That's literal life.
He even spoke to me privately about this.
He's been
Oh my God. The things they've done to Matt Slick are awful. Like throwing private things about his children's embarrassing things his children did, throwing it in his face like live on YouTube, like disgusting what these atheists have done to him.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Well, that's why Satan is called the slanderer of the brethren. He's called the adversary.
Yeah.
Well, because they have they can't defend atheism, so they have to do personal attacks go to our personal lives.
Okay, you need to block Darth Coxons from your thing, okay? He has 0 followers, okay?
Yeah, I blocked it.
Right, he's a troll.
Oh, I had Jeff come up today.
Jeff who?
I had blocked Jeff, cool guy Jeff.
No. That you should not have him up here.
I had blocked him.
A stalker.
I asked him to not come. I asked him to not come and talk to me, and I blocked him. And then he makes another account to come up here. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, well, this is what I like to call loosely mental illness.
It's crazy. Like, why would you not? If someone is like, I don't want to interact with you, and then they like try to force interactions all the time.
Look. This is, Paul says in 1 Corinthians 13, when I became an adult, I put away childish ways. But the funny thing is, even children don't behave this way.
No. He's totally clueless about metaphysics. Like, he's completely lost. He doesn't get that we can defeat hard salts.
No, first of all, he's not serious.
So I do have a question for you. Like, why don't we view atheists back when we were kids, Darth? Because, like, those were the evil, most despised people of the United States. And now we view them as some sort of philosophical geniuses?
They're not.
No, they want an excuse to do evil and live evil. And
I think we need to emphasize, although we say they don't want God looking over their shoulder because of their sin, we have to make it clear to them that the fundamental core of sin, the essence of sin, is the embracing the false belief that you're autonomous. Mm-hmm. That self-proclaimed autonomy, right, will manifest itself in various, let's say, behaviors. But we want to make it clear that it's not just because, let's say, they want to smoke funny stuff, or they want to be promiscuous or whatever. These are all manifestations of advocating that they're autonomous.
Yeah,
Because
so
we say they love their sin, they love their would-be autonomy.
yeah. Well, we just had a guy up here listening to. I don't know if you caught him talking to the precept, but he was acting like Grape and Schmurder are not okay with atheism, but like you have to have this fake God to make Grape and Schmurder wrong. And I'm like, so wait, you're twisting it so much. That's actually your ideal mindset, that you want it to be okay. You're pretending that it's not okay. And then you're saying that, yeah, it was Trump 24 right here. So look what he's doing. He's trying to be a jerk. And he just said he thought.
Okay. Yeah. Just ban Trump 24 because he's even getting worse now.
He's actually just showing his evilness right there, because he thinks it's not okay.
They get angry because they're used to dealing with Christians that are not as self-aware of their philosophical weakness,
Yeah.
right? And they can't bamboozle us.
Well, he just showed himself. The light has showed upon him in his darkness that he was actually saying it's not okay for someone to do that. But yeah, he just described what he wanted to do to you on chat. Like, he just twisted his words the other way. Like, he's crazy. Nobody can see this. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness does not comprehend or overwhelm it. It can't defeat it. And that's what we're doing, is we're showing light on their darkness, and they don't like it. So,
You see, when we ask them for what is their ultimate grounding for what is and cannot be, they go, physics, laws of nature. But laws of nature is just a statement of a set of unity. So unity dictates unity.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not an answer.
Yeah.
Welcome, Mr. Pigeon. Darth would like to ask you some questions.
Oh, I've heard of Darth. Hello, Darth.
Hello. Do you accept God as your creator?
Absolutely. Do you accept Joseph Smith as the true and final prophet?
Oh my gosh.
If you lie to me, you're going to be instantly kicked.
So you don't answer questions, you just make threats?
Okay, can you tell? No, because I can tell by not only by your tone of a voice, but the way that you're approaching it, because I've interacted with a good many of Mormons in my lifetime. Please don't interrupt me. Okay. Can you tell me anything about the history of Mormonism?
What do you want to know about? Do you want to know about the very beginning?
Yeah, I want you to tell me about the origins of Mormonism.
So God created the earth. He found matter unorganized, and he sent his son and the angel Gabriel to go and create the earth.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the origins of Mormonism in the United States.
Oh, are you talking about the revelation to Joseph Smith?
Do you even know it?
Do you deny the nature of divine revelation?
Look, sir, listen to me.
Do you deny the nature of divine revelation?
Goodbye.
Oh, you're going to kick me. You're going to run.
You don't know Mormonism. That's not even Mormonism.
He's doing shtick. I'm talking about what is the origins of Mormonism in North America.
Yeah, he has no clue.
Yeah. So he's doing this is what they've got. They've just got shtick.
Yeah.
I understand that they balk and scoff that we are advocating God's revelation and that they think that revelation is not there.
Yes, that guy's an atheist, and he thinks the defeater for tag is to argue for Mormonism or something.
Well, what he's doing is the Planet Fiasco Peterson spanky maneuver.
Yes.
Okay, this is the flying spaghetti monster maneuver.
It's basically what Joseph Smith, was it John Smith? What he did. Joseph, yeah, where he's like, I got this magic rock, and this angel came to me and gave me this, is it a tablet or something?
It was golden plates, and he basically said, "Do you suppose that God existed from all eternity? I'll refute that idea."
I mean, that's basically what Planet Peterson and Deconstruction Zone Justin deal with Doug. And so
Yeah, Doug the Rock.
Yeah.
Well, it's embarrassing.
Well, they love to embarrass themselves.
Look, why don't you put naturalism front and center on the table? Okay.
Right.
Naturalism is not defensible.
Right. And this is why they have to talk about definitions. Okay, so I was remember Monkey Boy, our friend Monkey Boy?
Yeah, I strongly recommend that you never talk with him again.
I don't talk to him, but sometimes I just I'm doing my Jane Goodall expedition.
Yeah, but the point is, this guy is such a well, I gotta be careful what I say, but
yeah, I know.
Certain individuals on this planet, they're just, and I don't use this loosely, but certain individuals on this planet are trolls. Okay.
Okay, well, here's what I noticed though, and so when I do the pre-sup on Monkey Boy, it's what do you mean by that? What do you mean by this? What do you mean by that? Endlessly asking me for definitions nonstop, to where I can never even get the argument out because I'm trying to spend the whole time talking about definitions. So I watched his stream yesterday, and someone went on there and a couple people try to do the Kalam argument, right? Well, guess what happens all of a sudden? Well, when he's arguing the Kalam, he actually addresses the argument and points out the logical fallacies in the argument. He doesn't even ask for any definitions of anything. Isn't that funny?
Can you go back about 3 or 4 sentences and repeat?
Yeah, so when I pre-sup Monkey Boy, he just constantly asking, what do you mean by this? What do you mean by that? Endless definition games, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then I watched him yesterday debate couples Christians who argue Kalam, cosmological, and never asked them for a definition once. Just deals with the argument and shows the logical fallacy.
That's his shtick.
Exactly. But isn't it funny that the only way he can deal with pre-sup is to go into this definition game? He can't deal with the logic.
I've figured out why he's an atheist.
Yeah.
Okay, do you guys want to know? Can you keep a secret?
Yeah. Yeah, we'll keep it just you, me, and TikTok.
Monkey Boy's an atheist. And the reason why is, and I'll give you the answer in the form of a question. Have you seen his face on camera?
No.
No wonder he calls himself Monkey Boy.
Oh. I asked him why he calls himself that. He never tells me. But that reminds me of this troll this guy did. Where he would, people wear their masks for COVID. So he'd go, hey, can you take your mask off? And then they'd take the mask off and he goes, oh, put your mask back on. That's pretty funny. They get mad. Ryan of Faith is requesting. Are you going to challenge the might of the Christian worldview?
Ryan? I am. That's the goal.
Good luck.
All right, I can do it in 2 questions.
Go ahead.
All right. Does everyone have a chance to go through Jesus?
Yes.
Oh, conflicting answers already.
Well, that's because Tab is a Calvinist. I'm not.
Right. Oh, gotcha. Okay, well then, to the person who answered yes.
It's yes and no. I would say yes and no.
Yes and no. Then the best follow-up for that is, if someone throughout their lifetime doesn't get presented with a chance, do they go to heaven?
That's that question. Excuse me. The reason why you're asking the question is because you're ignorant of the Bible. Okay? The Bible makes no one's going to be judged for what they didn't know.
Nope.
People are going to be judged for the light of creation and their refusal to repent following the convicting power of the Holy Spirit, given the light in creation that they've received.
Well, if someone goes to heaven for not knowing, then the best answer would be to eliminate all texts of Christianity, and that way everyone goes to
I don't
heaven.
understand. Okay, I take it that you do not accept that the God of the Bible and his attribute set is real?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so then why does anything mean anything?
Who says it does?
Well, are you trying to suggest that you don't hold that the world has some semblance of meaning and intelligibility?
I guess I haven't thought about it. Do you think it does?
Yeah, you're lying. See, now what you're doing is this is what a scum you are. Right? And this is what a scum a lot of people are. I'm telling you that you're a scummy person, and the reason why is because you think that you can get away with lying and being deceptive in a
So
chat
you've
platform.
thought about the grand scheme of the
Hey,
entirety of the universe?
Ryan, I'm going to ask you a question, and if you refuse to answer, I'll kick you out instantaneously. How
All right.
old are you, Ryan?
32.
Okay, Ryan, I'm 63. Okay.
Uh-huh.
You're
Have
at
you been
this point
checked for
right now,
lead poisoning?
Ryan, if you lie to me again, I'm going to kick you without any other further statements. So,
Okay.
Ryan, why are you doing this shtick about stuff that you really don't believe?
Because I think the only reason you believe it is because of child abuse via religious indoctrination.
So you just admitted that you were being deceptive with us.
No, I said I have not contemplated all of existence before.
Ryan, why are you talking to me right now if nothing?
Because I wish to save you. I wish to save you.
Okay, bye, Ryan. Bye. Your little teenage shtick doesn't work. Okay. You see, this is how warped they are.
Yep.
Right? They have the minds of teenagers. But it's actually worse than teenagers, because at least teenagers, when they behave this way, we can excuse it for their lack of neurological development.
You know what's crazy? When I said no, not everybody has a chance. We do. All of us have a chance, but we wouldn't choose him, according to Romans. There's none who seeks after God. But his evidence is throughout all creation, according to Romans. So you do have a chance. You're presented with God's eternal.
Why is it that we're not getting any serious-minded, intelligent opposition? All we get are these people doing shtick, invoking parodies, invoking things that they really don't believe. You see, if they had a substantive defeater for the existence of God, they would give it, but they don't have a substantive defeater. So instead, what they do is they do this parody stuff. Doug the Rock, Spanky the Purple Hippo, or whatever it is, Flying Spaghetti Monster. Right? This is why when I went up on Justin's Deconstruction Zone after he invited me in, and then he just was nonstop abusive to me, with me being in the room for under 2 minutes. And when I asked him to, not be rude, obnoxious, and insultive to me, otherwise going to leave, he decided he was going to do anyway, because he really didn't want to have a man-to-man talk. Right?
Do the death by mod, and then they claim victory. Like, they just behave in a way that you can't interact with them, and then when you leave, they go, "Oh, you're running away."
Yeah, these people are an embarrassment. They really are.
So hey Darth, have you heard of Charnock's works by Stephen Charnock?
No.
He was a Puritan back in the 1600s. I have
a Puritan?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's The Existence and Attributes of God. It's a book dated 1971, and it's a Sovereign Grace Book Club. So I just wondered if you've ever heard of it. I'm starting to read it. I've read it some, but it talks about the attributes of God, the existence of God, atheism back then in the 1600s, which is pretty cool. He talks about the different types of atheists. Then we have the secret atheism, the practical atheism. It's kind of cool.
I read Ryan Mullen's paper. Was it the timeless? Was it the?
Yeah, I told you that would help you out.
Time in the everlasting God, I think. Yeah. So I learned some terminology, like a 4-dimensional space-time manifold.
Yeah, I got to get in gear, and I have to finish. I've read half his book on time. I have to finish it. I'm ashamed I haven't finished it.
I'm gonna do like the atheist tactic of just using big words, right? So if someone tries to argue about time, I'll just be like, "So what is your stance on the four-dimensional space-time manifold?"
I think that's a brilliant maneuver. And then just start using made-up words.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Rush Limbaugh would do this. He would talk about the disqualification factor.
Just obscure the conversation so the audience thinks I'm smart. That's what we do.
Yeah. Look, look, if you talk to professional philosophers, right, who are unbelievers, even when they do employ deceptive or evasive tactics, right, they don't employ this, this philosoph-speak crap, right? They just don't do it.
Yeah.
I love how you call them the philosoph bros.
Phil bros, yeah.
Yeah. And I like what they do is it's philosoph speak. I understand sometimes the way I delineate certain things. Some people scratch their head and they're like, I don't quite understand it, and that's okay. But I'm just trying to be really clear and specific. But sometimes I can get a little bit wordy because I'm trying to be very, very specific. And it's okay if somebody doesn't quite understand how I'm unpacking it. I'm willing to go over it. But I'm not trying to be verbose and wordy and esoteric. I'm not trying to, speak in double talk. They are purposely engaging in double talk. You might want to check out a good book. I don't know where it is on my drive. It's in my drive. It might be in the philosophy folder. I'll look it up on my computer where it is, but it's called Double Speak.
Mm-hmm.
And it's written by I don't know if he's still alive, but a Rutgers professor. He happened to be liberal, but the content of the book was good about how people use language, phraseology, and nomenclature to cloud or obscure what could be rather talked about in plain language.
So, like a guy like Neil deGrasse Tyson, his role. Now I know we're not big fans of him, I guess, but he his job, his role is a science communicator. So he's trying to take like complex things in astrophysics and communicate it to the general public, right? And that is intelligent to be able to take something complex.
Oh yes, yeah.
Right.
Look,
but what these people are doing the opposite is they're like trying, because they're like insecure and they want to be viewed as intellectuals, and due to their insecurity, so they try and use these big like $5 words to give the illusion that they're intelligent. But actually the real intelligent thing to do is to do it like communicate them.
What their goal is to produce a fog, is to produce stalemate. That's their agenda. Okay? Their goal is not to establish naturalism. Their goal is to obfuscate, to prevaricate, and have the conversation end in a stalemate. And I'll put it the way William Lane Craig says it. He says it so that we don't conclude with propositions with theological significance. Okay, so it's just be verbose, throw out nomenclature, double talk, double speak, right? I've given Monkey Boy so many chances, no more. He's just the illegitimate child of Jack Angstrike.
Yeah, I was thinking about that question. I think you kind of asked, like, what's worse, like bloviation, prevarication, or obfuscation? I kind of think the prevarication is the worst, because I feel like if someone's bloviating or obfuscating, that's like easier to deal with. Like prevarication is unbearable to me, I think.
Well, you have to remember that prevarication and obfuscation overlap. Okay. Somebody will sometimes somebody will employ aspects of obfuscation.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, they can overlap. Yeah.
I'm not saying they're the same thing, and I do agree with you. But
what I'm saying is, like, the idea of if someone's like bloviating, you can kind of like cut them off and be like, hey, let's focus, right? But if someone's being evasive, there's almost nothing you can do to stop them from being evasive. Like,
how many times you hear me ask a very succinct question, and what comes out of their mouth bears no resemblance to the question that I asked?
Like virtually every question you ask.
I mean, I love it when you blindside them when they go, "There's no evidence for God." You say, "Well, let me get this straight. So your position is that there's not evidence that the world derives and depends upon God, right?" So you're asking for clarification and affirmation, which they will do, right? So, but now what's the position that they're in? See, what I'm doing is I'm pushing the antithesis. I'm showing the dichotomy here that there's two worlds. There's the world that indicates God, the world that is emblematic of ultimate design intentionality, a world that it derives and depends upon God, and the only alternative is to operate and speak out of a world that is independent of God. So the question is, what's the evidence for that? And they don't have an answer to that, other than saying the evidence for the world is independent of God is that there's no evidence that the world is created by God, which is an appeal to ignorance fallacy.
Or when we present an argument and they say, "Oh, you're not making an argument," that would be an appeal to incredulity. That doesn't cut the mustard. You can't just sit there and go, "You're not making an argument."
Look, I don't mean to be rude, but when you say to cut the mustard, that's circular reasoning.
Right.
It's circular reasoning. You know, I'm saying that tongue in cheek.
Yeah. That's what I thought.
Yeah, that's what they always do. That's circular reasoning. That's circular reasoning. Oh, that's a loaded question. How is it a loaded question?
Today, someone asked me, like, how do you know the Bible's true? And I'm like, well, the Bible's self-authenticating because we use it to determine if anything at all is true. And he goes, that's circular. And I go, well, yeah. How do you verify?
Okay, why is it? Okay, so if they object in principle that anything can be self-authenticating, they just screw themselves. Therefore, they can't assert anything. Because when they assert,
they don't understand that though. They don't get it.
Yeah, you don't understand is that you're going to have a terminal starting point, right? Right. You can't have an infinite chain of justification. So either you're going to have a foundational starting point that is self-authenticating, or you're just speaking arbitrary statements out of the void.
Bonson says that if you have like appeal to an infinite regress, like you don't have the terminal starting point, an infinite regress is just like an obfuscation that you don't really have a justification.
Yeah. All right, I'm just going to be AFK for a while.
Is that a swear word, Darth? AFK. I really don't know what it means.
I was muted. I was just talking there that whole time. Someone told me that we're not allowed to use swear words on TikTok. Is that true?
I have no clue.
Yeah, I guess no one knows. They're probably just lying.
Never been muted for it, or never been bananaed. I get bananaed for everything.
True.
I think it's just when you swear, people try to report you for harassment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think they could just get you for harassment rather than like swearing in and of itself.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Then what you do is you use euphemisms for curse words like balderdash.
I just been saying people are very unique. They're a very unique person.
What they do is you tell them they have special needs.
Well, I think that would get a banana if you say that. So I think I just like you say they're unique. There's nothing like insult. There's nothing wrong with saying someone's unique, but people know what you mean. Okay.
You could say, do you have a mental condition that precludes you from having this conversation?
Or I sometimes I ask, like, do you process information more slowly than others? That's like a polite way of saying someone's slow or something. Welcome, Kim. Did you have a question or comment, or wait, did you want to get interrogated by Darth? Or not interrogated, I can't say that, I guess. Cross-examined by Darth. Are you there, Kim? Yeah, I should use the word cross-examine, not interrogate. I say interrogate to be funny and like hyperbole, just because people act like Darth is such a a tyrannical authoritarian.
Yep. Kim, you gotta unmute yourself. Kimmy K.
Oh, okay. Hey, hello.
Hello.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, I had background noises. That's why I was.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
I
fine.
mean, so I was asking questions regarding internet atheism. I think that's different from normal real life atheism. But internet atheism, is it just an internet phenomenon, right? They just want to
Internet
believe anything,
atheism?
no matter. Yeah, I mean, it's more like rage bait. Do you feel like so, or because they want to generate views, they don't care for
Possibly.
arguments.
You gotta get closer to your microphone, Kim. We can't hear you.
He's saying that atheism is basically rage bait. That they're not really atheists. They're just trying to get clicks. They're just trying to.
I mean, is it internet atheism, like the atheism on TikTok, YouTube, Reddit,
Yeah.
They are just there to release
They're
frustration.
really the rage baiters.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, that atheism, like one of the biggest YouTubers early on in social media was the Amazing Atheist. So atheists,
Yeah, and then
they're trying to use atheism to get rich on social media and famous. And so think about this: like, if your career is based on atheism, are you really gonna like accept evidence that would undermine your income? Right. So they're compromising themselves when they try to make their career out of atheism. So how can you say there's no evidence for God when you're completely compromised by the fact that your income relies on there being no evidence for God?
yeah, I think they are not real atheists. I mean, we say for prosperity preachers and all, they are not true Christians, right? So we have internet atheists as not true atheists.
Well, actually, Romans speaks to your point. That which can be known about God is evident within them, for God made it evident to them. And since the creation of the world, as invisible qualities, it's just a matter of how deep they're willing to suppress the truth that exists around them. And even their conscience bears witness. Those are the 3 bullet points I hit with atheism, from Romans 1 to Romans 2:15.
There's a atheist request. Do you mind if I move on to get someone else, like a non-believer?
Yeah, I'll be right back. Okay, thank you.
All right, thanks, man. I basically agree with what that guest said. I think the Bible that would be biblically correct as well.
Yeah. Dr. Quantum, do you accept your Lord
Good
and Savior
afternoon.
Jesus Christ as your personal Savior, or do you reject Him?
Yeah, I don't accept Jesus Christ as my savior.
Okay. That works out on the other side of eternity.
This
Sorry?
guy has been up multiple times. Please keep that in mind. Are you the guy with the PhD?
Yes. Darth doesn't think so though, but I am.
Yeah, you're then that's sad.
It's not sad. It's great. It's nice having a
because
fun.
because you're saying balderdash that physicists don't actually say.
Okay.
Okay, and you're trying to represent your statements as being mainstream or typical physics when it's not. It's just your personal opinion.
Like what?
Sir, okay, I'm going to ask you a question. What is it that's identifiable that dictates all that is and cannot be?
I genuinely don't know what that means. Is there another way you can ask that? I'm not trying to avoid.
Is the world
don't
around?
understand what
There's
that means.
multiple states of affairs around you. Okay, that are seen and unseen. Okay, there are states of affairs. Do you know what a state of affairs is? The Eiffel Tower a state of affairs?
No, I don't know what that means. I mean, do you mean like a quantity state, or do you mean forces?
Goodbye. Okay, here we go again. Yeah, I don't believe
He's doing exactly he's doing the exact same thing of, we're going to keep asking questions so I can avoid the question.
Yeah.
I'm not even a PhD, and I know that.
Yeah, I've given this guy so many chances. He is one of the biggest balderdashers out there. You can't believe.
Yeah.
You know, Why does he assert things universally that not even Lawrence Krauss will assert?
The great thing about Christianity is God uses the fools to shame the wise. So you don't even have to be like really smart, and like you can.
That's me.
Exactly. Me too, buddy.
It's my favorite Bible verse.
Oh, look at that. I got insulted in the chat by somebody whose account that I just checked, and what a coincidence. I have his account blocked. What a coincidence.
Crazy.
Well, if they talk like intelligent grown-ups, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
Right? That's why they love talking with evidentialists. Because they can verbally bamboozle the evidentialists all day long. They can special plead.
Yep.
But they can't special plead because what we do is we push the antithesis. We say there's the God world and the not God world. Okay? God reveals himself in creation. God reveals himself in human history through the prophets, ultimately in Jesus Christ, propositionally secured in the Bible.
Yeah.
If you don't accept that, then you're operating from another frame of reference, another model of reality, and you have some splaining to do.
The evidentialist, like prior to the debate even starting, is already like granting the non-believer all the things that we would need to prove God, and so they basically just completely they lose the debate before it even starts.
Yeah.
And it's not a false dichotomy. Right.
Yeah, somebody in the audience asked, "Are we young Earth creationists?" I am.
I am.
I mean, I would say I pretty much am. I just don't say anything. I don't make the claim that the Earth is 6,000 years old, but pretty much.
It's basically an extraction from the Bible, and here's why I think that it's really important to be a young atheist or young.
Watch this, folks. I'm going to question Psycho here, and he's not going to have any intelligent defense of his position.
Yeah, real quick. Jesus' genealogy would not be true if it wasn't for young Earth.
Yeah. So Psycho, why is your unbelief rational?
Rational.
Why
What's
is your state of unbelief rational?
What's rational mean?
Goodbye.
Yeah, look at that. You do it.
Oh, I'll be back in a minute. Okay. What does rational mean?
What does rational?
What do you mean by up?
Yeah.
They think they're so deep. What does rational mean? Like, whoa. Welcome.
So basically, the Bible says we're all children of incest.
You can't say that word.
Oh.
Okay, then we're all children of inbreeding.
Okay.
Well, Darwin's.
Well, first of all, how do you say your name?
No, hold on.
Hold on, Darth.
You're gonna hold on. I'm about to kick you if you don't shut up right now.
I don't give a crap what Darth
Goodbye.
says.
Okay, last warning. If you don't stop right now, I'm gonna kick you.
Last warning.
Now, I'm going to ask you
this
a question.
This is the most power you'll ever
Bible
have. Teach,
sir, final warning. I don't want to kick you. Now, does the Bible teach after God got done creating everything that everything was good? Does the Bible say that?
Sure.
Okay, so that would mean that even the genetic code would be in a pristine state. The prohibition for marrying near relatives was imposed by God at a certain point due to the incursion of what is called genetic entropy. Okay.
Then why haven't you married your cousins?
Okay, let me explain something to you. So Adam and Eve's sons and daughters. Sir, listen to me carefully. Look, what I just don't get it. Why is it that most of you?
There's a lot of things you don't get, like rationality.
Okay, all right, goodbye. Wow.
And respect.
All right, we're done with it. Yeah. What did you say? They have a unique mental state.
They're very unique. That you don't really want to go to the Schmincest because did you know that Darwin inbred with the Wedgwood family, and all of Darwin's children's had genetic problems due to inbreeding. So,
yeah. And it's not like there isn't stories of people marrying their half sister. Abraham, the father of our faith, married his half sister. So there's that. That was before the law.
I think it's funny that the father of the theory of evolution, all of his children were like genetically invalid.
I want to know why, if you have evolution, let's take it to its fruition. There's this first man, first woman scenario, right? And they had babies. Wouldn't they be marrying their sisters?
I don't know. This is just what the atheists want to think about this. I think it's like gross to think about this stuff, but like this is the atheist mind when they read the Bible. That's wait a minute, Adam and Eve. Oh, that means our sisters and brothers got married.
Right, but if you start with one person on a desert island, and you have a mate, they have to eventually spread out and multiply. So part of the reason God probably introduced genetic recessism is because your refusal to go out and multiply and create many nations. You know what I mean? Like you're going to stay in town. So you've got to have that.
I think it's what Darth said is like that. Initially, the genetics were like pure, and they're degrading over time.
Yeah, that would be true as well. So I don't disagree with either one of those statements because you have to have a single-celled organism eventually multiplying and replicating with itself, or like its genetic descendants. So, like, how are you going to have any of that occur? What they do is they take the Bible's word of God and telling you don't marry your mother and father's child because she's your sister, marry your cousin. You know what I mean? It's just like, come on. They want to take that and turn it back on God and say, oh, well, we have to destroy the idea of creation because the Bible tells us it's wrong. You know what I mean? But I live in Idaho, and up in Corn Creek, everybody's marrying their second and first and third cousins. You know what I mean? Because it's such a small town. There's problematic problems there. So it's like, come on.
That explains a lot. I gotta go, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, you too, buddy.
All right, I'll catch you later.
I'm gonna go live for a little bit anyway, so
Yeah,
I want to glean some of your great knowledge, guys.
Yeah. Everyone follow Tab. Tab's gonna go live. You guys can go. Well, everyone is like doesn't like me here, so he's gonna get a bunch of people that are gonna be mean to you.
That's fine, buddy. Darth, it's been great to talk to you. Precept, it's been great. So
okay, yeah, you too. All right, have a good day.